All right, welcome everybody. This is impromptu live that we're running. I got SlewSurfer with me and Michelle with me. We're talking about 420. So happy 420 day, everybody. And let's go ahead and roll the intro and we'll get into the
So
show.
hold me close, nothing lasts forever. Oh, when I go, will you remember?
So happy 420 day. Special day for all you potheads and smokers out there. I can't partake, unfortunately, because of my job. Otherwise, I would. But I have done it before. It can be fun. It can be in a safe environment. But the main reason for doing this is to discuss. Now, Michelle and I are both ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. Were you, Slew, were you
In-
ever in a religion at all? I don't really know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Independent Baptist.
Oh, one of
Fundy.
them. Yeah. Oh, wow. I got a friend locally was from that. She's an ex-independent fundamentalist Baptist, and stories they have.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and the thing is, there's a lot of there was a lot of similar religions that were in my town. I was from a small town, and there was like Methodist, Nazarenes, and all of and Church of Christ. There was two Church of Christs, both on Main Street, one on North and one on South Main Street
oh,
in
jeez.
this tiny town. Yeah, like 6 churches in this town.
Well,
A
that's something
thousand people or less.
I've noticed about, especially here in the States, that these small towns have the most church densities of anywhere. It's just like, it's crazy. You got these
Yeah.
poor ass people in these rural areas, and you got these big churches, and you know that those buildings ain't cheap and none of the stuff is cheap, but yet, everything around them's broken poor.
Best place to prey on people.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
I don't know
The
how
other
it
kind of
is
prey.
in New Zealand. What's it like with the churches down there?
I don't think it's as bad as in the States in terms of the concentration like that. But yeah, it's still a thing.
It's still a thing. Gosh, why
Yeah.
is churches still a thing?
Yeah.
You'd think
God's
that would-
still poor.
Yeah.
I know the Almighty Creator of the universe can't create money.
And he's so insecure.
Yeah, no kidding. I know he needs people to get down on their knees and beg him for forgiveness. It sounds like a daddy kink to me.
You can throw in the sadomasochism and everything in there too, right?
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Blood sacrifices.
Oh yeah, that's just a whole nother story and subject to get into, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what about pot and weed? You guys ever smoke it or partake in it?
Never. I've got some peach horchata ready right now. So.
I have had a few experiences since leaving, but I'm not like a regular
Oh, there we go.
fiend, I guess. But yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it can be. Like I said, in the right environment and everything, especially for us being extra hose witnesses, one of the things they tell people when they leave, oh, you're going to be addicted to drugs and, be on the streets with, all sorts of illicit acts and everything. Okay. I have tried it. So what?
Yeah.
It's not like I got addicted to it because I bugging out. I see that. Let's see if I can.
The funny thing is, like, I mean, the way I've had people on my podcast that were drug addicts and that um, actually work in like communities trying. I can't think of what you call it. Not like sobriety or anything, but the
Mm.
oh, my mind just blanked out, and I haven't even smoked yet. Um, this is terrible.
No, I
But
hate
like,
when that
you know,
happens.
needle. They work with needle exchange plant stuff that normally isn't happening here in the States, but out in California they are doing that kind of thing. But anyways, yeah, I've talked to him, and it's kind of like, you know, at a certain point, what are we labeling as a drug? Because there's so
Mm.
many different things that you could consider as a drug, that we don't typically. I mean, there's diabetics here that are dependent on, you know, insulin and things,
Mm-hmm.
um, and but we don't look at those things the same way as we do other drugs that were, you know, really going after in the 80s and well, prior to that, even I guess from the 30s onwards, marijuana started to become an issue for the US all of a sudden. But
But wasn't it the
reefer
80s?
madness and all that.
Wasn't it the 80s though that what was it? Bush had the war on drugs.
Yeah. Well, that was a follow up to Reagan, I believe, had already done that. Nixon, I believe, before that, because Nixon had Elvis in charge of the. Can you imagine giving Elvis an honorary thing to like be, you know, to head the war on drugs or whatever, to be an agent or whatever the hell that was?
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And there he did, like he died from opioid overdose, wasn't it? Heart
Mm.
attack.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And that
I
was
was,
oh, go ahead, Michelle. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, it's funny how with the witnesses, they were very much like, oh, drugs bad, but like alcohol, no problem, like
Yeah.
absolutely no problem, and everyone was drinking, and I would sit there and I'd be like, how is this different? Like, you know.
Well,
Well,
and the other thing is like the religion itself, the way that it's set up, the structure, and with the sermons and stuff like that, a lot of it's based around things that are giving you like dopamine highs and serotonin
Mm.
highs and shit. That's altering your state of mind in
mhm.
itself. I mean, that's a drug in itself.
You know,
I
Yeah.
mean, we have drugs to up those doses of things in people.
it's funny you say that because on my show that I did yesterday morning, I mentioned how religion is like getting that next, dosage of a drug every week or twice a week whenever you go, because you are getting those high feelings whenever you go. Because, like, for us in the XJW world, they always said, "Oh, isn't it refreshing to come to the meetings every week? And it's our spiritual paradise and this and that." And people would go there with like this false sense of euphoria, and they
Mm.
get addicted to that.
And especially like, if you weren't feeling well and you'd go anyway, and then everyone would be like, don't you feel more refreshed since you came? It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, okay, I guess I did, but that's probably from the love bombing,
yeah, exactly.
you know?
Yeah, because I remember, like, when I got baptized, and this is the only time that I really remember it, like a clear change in how I felt from the when the day began to after I got dipped in the water. And I remember feeling real tired and, kind of groggy that day. And then I got dipped in the water that day. And all of a sudden I was like refreshed and happy and better. And, you know, looking back, it's the love bombing and the attention you're getting. Oh, congratulations. You're now brother winner and yada, yada, yada. And, you know, you,
So,
you,
Mm.
you get that high.
how old were you when you were baptized?
Way too young to consent. I was 13.
Same. Oh, I was
Oof.
11, I think. 10 or
Oh no.
11.
Oh, wow.
I was 19, but I was a very naive young 19 witness
To,
girl.
Now, to them, that was considered waiting until I was ready to, that I was able to make the decision.
Well, in our world, you could be 7 or 8 and be okay too. They even
I think-
have it in
They
I
never
Europe
think
had
there was like
somewhere.
an 11-year-old that got baptized at the same one as me, and I was like, "Whoa, isn't that too young?" And like I felt bad, like I had the pressure that I was too late at 19.
My last convention I went to, a 10-year-old got baptized. And my
That's wild.
wife and I talked about it on the way home. And we were actually just talking about this the other day. And we were talking about how, even at that time, how bad that was to let a kid that young get baptized.
Mm. It's like they just sort of justify it like, oh, well, now they have Jehovah's protection. If they want to do something bad, they'll think twice, and Jehovah will look out for them or whatever. But it's like, no, now you're stuck.
Yeah. No, you don't
Yeah.
have protection. You actually are worse off if you do something bad, because then they'll be happy to disfellowship you and shun you, and you could be a kid out on the streets as a result of it. It's so messed up. Because when
Yeah.
my brother was 18 and he got disfellowshipped, and my dad was telling me that the circuit overseer tried to get him to kick him out of the house. And my brother didn't have
Wow.
any job skills or money or nothing. And my dad refused to. He wouldn't do it. You
That's
know,
good.
while he was disfellowshipped or excommunicated, for those of you who don't know that term, he went to trade school and got himself a trade so he could start to make a living. So, you know, my dad he was an elder. I don't know if you know, he's not in the organization anymore, but he was one of the good ones that, you know, tried to do the right thing despite being told from the organization to do the opposite thing in a lot of situations. So I'll give him credit for that. I didn't know that stuff
Yeah.
until after I left. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. And where is it? This one right here. All right. And I'll make it
Go ahead and light up. It's
bigger.
been 3 days, so it's hard to tell how this is going to hit me. I'm a regular smoker usually.
Man, I've done the bong thing. I'm not good at holding it. I cough and hack like crazy.
I would try, but I am sick and I'm already coughing. So today is not the day for me. But I do have a stash upstairs. So I would have.
But won't it make you feel better to take it? Won't it like cure all your ills?
Hey, it's not the Bible.
Oh, that's right. No, the Bible's what's caused all your ills, not cured them.
Oh,
All right, so this is make it a little bit bigger. How's it? All
I'm
right.
like,
Doesn't look too bad on the screen, does it?
That's good.
Okay.
I'm just
Yeah.
blind.
Well,
I can see it.
I understand that, you know, some people have harder time seeing or whatever, but I had it at like 90% zoom in, so people, a lot of people could see that. So this is just a quick overview here of just some of the articles that the Watchtower puts out on marijuana. Of course, they lace in other drugs with it as well, but I just did a search for marijuana in their Watchtower library, and that's why you see it highlight it here. And like just looking through the highlights of it, you can just see what kind of presentation they give it.
So I am no longer a slave of violence. Is that?
Yeah.
Is that like you're a slave to violence if you smoke? Is that what that's saying, or am I misunderstanding?
Here, we'll go ahead and click on it. Here's the article right here.
Bible changed your life.
And I'll just go ahead and read it.
Yeah.
One day, while a friend and I were high on drugs in the basement of my home and were preparing an illegal shipment of marijuana for sale, my friend asked me if I believed in God. I responded, if God is responsible for the suffering in the world, I want nothing to do with him. Damn right.
Same.
The next day, the first at my new job, a fellow worker who was one of Jehovah's Witnesses asked me, do you think that God is responsible for the suffering in this world? The timing of this question surprised me and sparked my interest. For the next 6 months, we had many discussions, and he showed me the Bible's answers to some of my most difficult questions about life. Now, what questions were they, and what answers did he get? That's what I really want to know.
I want to know how big the illegal shipment was.
Yeah, that too.
That specific phrase.
What is this? Is this a website, or is this in a?
This is from the Jehovah's Witnesses' own website. They have what's called their online library, and this is from their online library.
See, we weren't, so was your church international? Like, were they all connected?
Like, what do you mean all connected?
Like, the Methodists they had like churches all over the U.S., and they were all connected. I think all of the money went to a central source, like the head church or whatever. There was like a hierarchy system to it, where we were independent Baptists and we didn't have any of that. We were just, our church was based off of basically the rich people around that had small businesses or whatever.
The other term that witnesses like to use for themselves is the International Worldwide Brotherhood.
Yep, I was just about to say that.
Okay.
So yeah, and it was like we would all study the same information. Like I could be studying here in New Zealand at our midweek meeting, the exact same thing that you'd be studying in the States in the same meeting.
Well,
and then like you could donate. Like there'd be local needs or local problems in the congregation, and you could like donate your money to the congregation or to the Worldwide Brotherhood and the governing body and and all of that. So yeah.
Well, to be fair, as well, to counter your point just a little bit, with the witnesses, well, the majority of the congregations were studying the same watchtower and whatever material they had that week at the same time. Different languages, like I know sign language for one, was actually about 6 months behind everybody else because of the translation and all that. So that's just one little discrepancy, but not big enough to really make a big deal. Hang on a second. I'm going to have somebody else join us on the stream here.
All right.
I'm gonna just one moment. You can, if y'all have something to say, go right ahead.
Well, like my mind's blank now.
Yeah. Now that you said that.
I had a million things. Yeah, I had been doing a series on TikTok about like things witnesses weren't allowed to do. And it went a little bit viral, but there were like a lot of witnesses that would jump in and be like, actually, that's not true. That's not true. That wasn't how it was. Maybe you were in a bad congregation. But like for the most part, like you would know that it's the same direction that you get from the same publications, whether or not like the local congregation and the elders in the congregation let you get away with things. Like there were lots of things that could influence their decisions.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, there are some differences, but they do like to very much say that, you know, they're Jehovah's Happy people and it's an international worldwide brotherhood. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, and if you're in it, and on the one hand, you have instant friends wherever you go. On the other hand, if you're in it and then you leave, all those instant friends are now instantly not your friends either. So it's a very two double-edged sword is what I'm.
But in saying that, like, the ex-Jedi community is amazing, and like for my trip to the States, I'll be staying with ex-witnesses that I've met afterwards. So there is an international brotherhood of ex-J-dubs as well, who are actually happy.
How big were the churches that you guys were in? The logo's in the way.
Yeah, I see that. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. I mean, unless everybody thinks it's better that we cover it.
Who is it?
I don't know.
Help me!
I was like, is this Pan's Labyrinth?
Hey, everyone.
Hey, what's up? How's it going, man?
Yeah, good. I just came off a stream of my own, so
yeah, I was watching it a little bit earlier, actually. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Nice. Yeah, I just popped on YouTube and I was like, oh, another stream's going. And I saw you guys. I was like, okay, I'll stop in and say hi. So hello, I'm Eric. Good to meet you.
Hey Eric, nice to meet you too. I just started following you recently on Twitter and YouTube.
Great.
So
great. I am also an XJW, so I've been out for 14 years, but I was born in. I've been out for 14 years now. So yeah,
I'm outnumbered, but I'm still going to try to convert all of you.
Oh, no.
No.
Wait,
luck.
does that mean we have to become independent Baptists and then leave?
No, we have to become independent Satanists. So where are you from, Eric, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I live in the Washington area, but I'm originally from Las Vegas. So I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness in the city of sin.
Very nice.
Interesting times.
You want to know something interesting? So you know how in the JW world they always encourage you to take trips and visit Bethel to encourage your kids to volunteer there one day, right?
Yeah. I had that pressure on me as well. Yeah.
I never went to Bethel ever.
Oh man, no.
But
I made it all the way there from New Zealand twice.
Wow.
Hang on though. I got something even better for you.
I'll wait for your butt.
in the year 2000, when that was the year I graduated high school, and also the year I went to Pioneer School, which, in case you don't know what that is, Slew, that is their school for people who go knocking on doors, and you do it full time, basically.
Oh my God! Do they have doors there for you to practice on? Like what?
Well, actually, they sent us out so they would bring a bunch of people in from different congregations in the area to one Kingdom Hall to meet at for this school for the 2 weeks, and we would go out to the neighborhoods near that Kingdom Hall and go knocking on doors to put into practice what we were learning.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah.
I didn't have door to door. I also went to Pioneer School. I went to Pioneer School in Virginia in like 2007 ish.
What part of Virginia?
2008 maybe. So I lived in North Carolina, but we had to go up to Virginia for the Pioneer School. I think it was like Richmond, Virginia.
Richmond,
Richmond, Norfolk. Could be Norfolk.
Probably Norfolk, because I actually live in Chesapeake, Virginia, which is right next
lived
door
in the
to
Outer
Norfolk.
Banks. Yeah,
Okay.
I would have to drive up to Chesapeake in order to go to Best Buy because there's no Best Buys down in northern North Carolina. Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
Okay, cool. Were you there back in like 2008, 2009?
No. I was still living in Florida at that time. I didn't move up here till 2013.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah.
But
No,
anyways,
I would have to go up there for the airport. I went up there to Chesapeake for the airport and for Best Buy. Those two things.
So anyways, I said all that to say this. So I never went to Bethel, but in that year 2000, I did get to go to Las Vegas, to Sin City on vacation, but I never went to Bethel. So I think I call that a win.
I did both in the same trip, and I just very much didn't publicize that I was in Vegas when I was there.
Oh, nice.
And I was
smart.
Just like, I'm at the Grand Canyon. Forget the part that
we went there too.
Kind of close.
Yeah, about a 4-hour drive.
Yeah.
Yep. I went to. I actually did go to Bethel. I went to Bethel in 2002 ish. My brother was working in Manhattan on like a contracting gig for a few months, so I flew to New York. I stayed with him and his wife in the hotel room in Manhattan for like 2 weeks. and we went and visited Brooklyn Bethel back when they still owned Brooklyn Bethel, and then I also went up to Wallkill and visited that for a day.
Oh wow.
That was like
I think-
that's literally 21, 22 years ago now. Yeah.
But let me ask you something very important here, Eric. Okay, and this is going to determine whether you stay on the stream or not. So listen up. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So when you lived in Vegas, did you
Yes.
ever go to the Star Trek experience?
Yes.
You rock, my man. You're staying.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I
you
went
passed.
Star Trek experience. It was Quark's bar. I went on the whole experience ride where they beam you into the transporter room,
Yep.
and like you're like
Yes.
Jean-Luc Picard's descendant that they got to
Yep.
protect, or no,
Yep.
not descendant, his ancestor. You have to protect.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember all that. Yeah,
I
yeah.
went on that one.
Fun times.
That was also.
That was-
also. I met Armin Shimmerman while we were there.
Nice. Quark.
So yeah,
That's awesome.
Quark himself. He was a really nice guy, actually.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, yeah.
We were
He's,
when we were waiting in line to meet him, and his wife was coming down to every person in the line apologizing for him because he was taking so long talking to everybody, and we're just like, great.
Wow, that's crazy. The closest I ever got to meeting a Star Trek alumni was I saw visually Marina Sirtis in a hotel lobby in California when I was at a district convention. The hotel that I was staying at, she happened to be in the lobby just hanging out with friends at some point.
I'm gonna show
And I
you
didn't go up. I didn't like say hi or anything, but I saw her from across the room.
Did you guys ever have?
Oh yeah, there you go.
So there's that, and then the bird of
Oh,
prey.
I got a Klingon bird of prey over there. Awesome.
Yes.
I'm patiently waiting for Picard series finale to be released. I'm like waiting for it to get released so I can go watch it.
I can watch it right now if I want to, but I'm doing this live stream, so I'm sacrificing Picard for you guys.
Yeah, I need to set up my VPN to point me to East Coast and then hop onto Paramount Plus.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been keeping up with that too. It's been a great series.
Yeah.
Season 3 has been pretty good. Season 1 and 2, you can just cut that crap out and just dump it. Season 3 is where it's at, so I'm super happy with it.
I've enjoyed them all. I mean, they've all had their good points, but season 3 has definitely been the best so far.
Yeah.
By far.
Absolutely. So I call it starship porn. The starship porn in season 3 is just amazing. The shots of the
man.
Titan, and I saw the preview of the episode 10. They have this one shot of the Enterprise D flying by, and like the camera is just very just focused on the ship as it flies by. You can see in the windows. You can see like the conference table in the briefing room as it's flying by. It's like, oh, the detail they put into this.
Man.
Yeah, I'm a complete sci-fi geek, and they're really hitting you where it counts when it comes to the starship porn. Yeah, I'm totally excited about this.
Just the oh my god, brain, come on, brain. The dock with all the old ships.
The Fleet Museum.
The Fleet Museum, thank you.
Yep.
Just all the old ships from there. I mean, you had
Yeah.
Voyager, you had the Constitution classes. I mean, it was just incredible.
They're laying on that nostalgia real thick,
real thick.
like peanut butter on bread. Yeah, it's great.
And everybody I know is just like drooling all over it too.
Anyway, what are we here for again? Like, is this a Jehovah's Witness discussion? I don't remember.
Well, I mean, it's 420 today, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
for
Reading about marijuana.
I know you're still
Yeah.
technically on 419.
We are, yeah. Okay,
So-
yeah, okay, that makes sense. So I guess you guys must be on the other side of the planet then from me. I'm in like Washington, Pacific Coast.
I mean,
Well-
technically, I'm on the other side of the planet.
Yeah,
And we are
she's the only one.
420 for like, I think, what is it, 6 more hours? 5.5
Okay,
more
yeah.
hours.
Yeah, we're 40 minutes away from 420, so yeah.
So,
And here I am without any pot. Like I got stale Moxies here somewhere. Here we go. These are probably about 2 years old, so these are probably not effective anymore. I'll have to find something else for this celebration of this day.
well, that's okay. Slew already lit one up for us all to
Yeah.
commemorate. Yeah,
He's
it will-
partaking for all of us.
It's officially 420 here.
Awesome.
He's agreed to every time that we ask him to take a hit, he's going to. No, I'm
He's
just joking.
he's
Oh, God,
he is
no.
he is shouldering
Every-
that burden. He is
That's
shouldering
right.
that
Every
burden
time
for
we
us.
say
Yeah.
Jehovah.
So, all right. So XJW Witch, XJW is in your name. James, you're an XJW.
Yep.
And then Slew, you are not. Is that
I'm an
what I gathered?
independent. Yeah, I'm an independent fundamentalist, like Baptist.
Independent fundamentalist Baptist. So, do you live
Yeah.
on like in the southern part of the United
IFB.
States or
I'm
IFB?
I'm in Ohio.
Ohio. Okay, so the Midwest then. Okay, I got you. All right. Well, cool. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And my
Yeah.
name's
So, I
Michelle.
lived-
I forgot to type in that.
Michelle, good to meet you. And then James is obviously James. Okay, great. Yeah, good to meet you all. I guess James, you and I were connected on Twitter.
Yeah, because
But,
I
yeah.
actually have some friends. Do you know Stacy Graham?
Yes.
So
Yeah. Apostasy.
yeah, apostasy. Yeah,
Apostasy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm actually one of the bookers for Skeptic Haven,
Oh,
The-
okay, great. Yeah.
and
I
I was talking with her, and she actually said, "Hey, do you know Skeptics and Scoundrels?" I'm like, "No, I don't know who
Yeah.
that is yet." And so I went and I found you on Twitter, and then I followed you and found you on YouTube
Cool.
and subscribed and all that. So that's how I found
Yeah.
you.
I think I'm scheduled for Skeptic Haven next month for Skeptic Soapbox, right? I think it's like the 24th to the 25th. I think I'm scheduled.
I think you are. My
Yeah.
phone is my webcam, but I have the calendar of all the shows.
Okay, yeah.
I can let you know for sure after this is over.
Yeah, I think she's already confirmed with me. I think I'm hanging out with you guys next month. In fact, give me a second here. 1 second. So Stacy's Canadian. I just got this today from her. I better not show the address. This is Shreddies. I got a box of Shreddies from her because we had a discussion about Canadian cereal, Shreddies versus shredded wheat in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So she sent me a box of Shreddies. I just got it today. This is actually from her.
Oh wow.
And I'm going to probably eat it on a live stream while I'm talking about Kellogg's. So, like Kellogg's cereal with cornflakes.
Mm-hmm.
The guy Kellogg thought that bland foods would curb masturbation.
Yep. I know.
So I'm going to eat a bowl of cereal while live streaming and talking about that in probably the next month or so. So yeah, I just got in fact, I'll open it right now. Anyway, keep on going. I'm just going to open the box here.
Didn't realize this was going to turn into an unboxing video too.
Yeah, unboxing. There you go. Yeah. I should have probably done this on air, but I'm gonna eat it on air and while talking about how crazy Kellogg was.
I mean, it could have gone in a different direction. He could have been doing the thing that he was talking about, which, scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
not that kind of show.
But this dude was so concerned with masturbation that he attempted to invent a food to keep people from masturbating.
Yes, I know. That was just so cringy and weird. I actually did a video about masturbation on my channel, so
There it is.
It's kind of funny,
Shreddies.
like,
and
as
I just
XJW woman, like, talking about masturbation is still something that I haven't seen anyone talk about, but it is something that I do want to talk about. Because, yeah.
well, like I said, I did a video about it, and let me tell you, you can't beat it.
After that
Sorry.
video.
Had to throw that in there. Sorry. And then
Can't beat it.
and
I don't know. I feel like we could reach the climax in a different direction.
masturbation, its grand climax at hand.
Yeah.
Great. Come on, man. It's too late for puns, especially like that.
It's never.
Hey man, I work night shift, so this is like I just passed my lunchtime at work right now, so
Good grief. They sent me all kinds of stuff.
no
Old-
kidding.
Fun.
Old Dutch ketchup flavored potato chips.
Oh.
Yeah, this
Those
is like all
sound good
Canadian.
right now.
Yeah. Man. There's a Mars bar. Yeah, got a Mars. Wow, she sent me. She was supposed to. Okay, so this was
That's for the
her and her
munchies?
mom. No, this was her and her mom D. We had a conversation. I forget what channel it was on, but we had a conversation about Shreddies, shredded wheat, and then Kellogg's. And then she was like, "Hey, my mom wants to send you some Shreddies." So I got the box of Shreddies, and they sent me a bunch of other stuff too. Like, it's like Christmas. This is crazy. I got some Nestle Smarties. That's great.
Oh, smart.
There's so much stuff in here. I'm actually kind of regretting I didn't open this on a different stream. Kit Kat. Oh my God, Mr. Big original. There's a
Mr. Big. After all that talk about masturbation.
Yeah.
Back on
More-
the topic again.
more innuendo. Yeah, more innuendo. Oh my God, Coffee Crisp, Nestle Coffee Crisp. This was supposed to be just a box of cereal, but there's like literally 10 items in here, maybe 12. Oh my God, 14. Big Turk. There you go, focus there. Big Turk. Nestle Aereo. I've never heard of this. That's
Is
kind
it
of
the
crazy.
Air bar? Is it the
Aereo?
bubbly one?
There are little bobules on it. Yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah, we have that.
Maybe it's
here.
like Cadbury Caramilk.
Oh yeah.
Because I've only been in Canada like 3 times in my life. Crunchy, Canterbury Crunchy.
Okay, this is really weird because these are things that we have in New Zealand.
I've never heard of
Yeah.
any of these.
Okay. Macintoshes. Creamy toffee something.
Oh yeah.
Macintoshes. Sorry, my camera autofocuses, so I gotta like keep my face. There we go. Canterbury's. All right, that was it. Holy crap! She sent me like. All right, here. Let me show you the pile. If I switch cameras. See here, settings. Switch to a different camera. Okay, there we go. That's the pile of stuff she sent me.
Wow.
Jeez.
So here's the Shreddies, and then all these are candies. That's crazy.
All the candy to like balance out the bland
Yeah, the Shreddies. Yeah.
cereal.
Yeah, maybe the idea is like the Shreddies is like counters masturbation, but everything else like promotes it. It's like it's a balance, you know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
if you eat all the like candy and stuff first, and then you're like, oh my god, I need to, and then you just like have a spoonful of the Shreddies, and you'll be like, oh, phew,
Yeah,
safe again.
because the original conversation was Shreddies versus shredded wheat, because shredded wheat's the American version, but it looks very different. Like this looks a lot like smoother. But yeah,
It's probably a lot
I'm-
healthier too.
Probably, yeah. Let me take a look. What's sugars on this? Oh, that's the French side. Oh wow, yes, Canadian. This was the French side.
I just
Carbs
want to
are
know
pretty-
what this guy was eating before for breakfast. That was fucking
Yeah.
really. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean, or I don't know if you cuss on here or not.
Oh, I don't give a
Maybe I
shit.
need to. Okay.
don't give a fuck.
Oh no, we don't say the F word. I'm just joking.
What the fuck? You can't just
This is
swear.
this is the
Well,
polite
tough, it's
Satanist.
done. Anyway, 46 grams of carbs, 9 grams of sugar per cup, or 55 grams. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna eat this on air while talking about Kellogg and his masturbation obsession.
25 grams of THC
He
per
would
serving.
be proud. He would be proud.
Yes, yeah, that'll be fun future live stream. Anyway, what were you guys talking about? I see a JW Library article up here, so this can only
So,
be good. I can imagine.
Marijuana violence.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
an illegal
Marijuana
shipment.
violence.
Yeah. I just brought up a random article from
Oh, okay.
jw.org. And
What year
here-
is this? Like, what year is this article published in?
Good question. I
The
don't
Bible changes lives.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this book. Must be at least
Let's see what,
14 years young.
I guess that's the book right there. The Bible changes lives.
Yeah, because I've never heard of
Really?
this book before, so it must
I
have
haven't
been
heard of that
released
one.
afterwards.
Yeah, must
I
have
lived
been.
in 2021. I've not.
Oh,
Oh
read
wow, you're pretty recent then. Wow,
I left
Yeah.
in 2018, so
I'm feeling old. I left in 2009.
Oh.
I left when I was 27. I'm 41 now.
oh, you are
Yeah,
old.
but now yeah, I guess
Ew.
so. I don't feel old.
You only got
I
me
feel
beat
like-
by a year, Eric, so don't feel too
Oh,
bad.
okay. In here, I feel
I'm-
like I'm 18 still.
I'm 37, so
Okay.
I left when I was
I gotcha.
35.
I gotcha. Yeah. So what prompted you guys to leave? If you don't mind me asking, what
Oof.
was the straw that broke the camel's back?
Mine was like, because it all sort of, it was 2020. So I woke
So
up in
COVID.
October of 2020, and it was a
Okay.
combination of like my boyfriend at the time and I broke up in February, and then in July I lost my job due to the pandemic, and I was working for witnesses as well. Worst experience
Yeah.
of my life. And
Ew.
then like I just had time at home and on the internet, on Reddit. And my aunt, who was never a witness, who lived next door to me, was really into the QAnon conspiracies. And I was
Wow.
basically spending my time kind of debunking the shit that she was sending me. And I came across the XJDub subreddit, and from there, jdubfacts.com, and basically researched myself out of the religion.
Very nice.
Tried to fade, but I was like, I can't do this because I talk a lot and I feel like I'm going to say the wrong thing to the wrong person.
I'm the same way.
And I just announced on my social media that I don't want to be a witness anymore in February of 2021. So lost everyone all in one night.
Yeah, I was about to say, how many friends like disconnected from you the day
everyone.
you did that?
I think like I had over 1,000 friends on Instagram. And I know it's like friends, it's social media, it's not necessarily real, but there are a lot of like real life connections and everything. And I just watched everyone leave, and a few people like argued it and said the classic like, oh, come back to Jehovah and blah blah blah, but no one's really sought me out after that. It's just been, it's very weird and lonely, as you guys all probably know. But like I just feel so much better getting to figure out who I am now. So
it gets better as you go. I mean that initial subtraction of your social circle, your friends, your family, that hurts the most. But as long as you keep on moving forward, make a new friend every month or every 2 months, it gets better. Yeah, but I totally relate to you. I know what that feels like.
I think it was really hard as well, like because of like the whole COVID thing and like everyone having to be in lockdown and stuff on and off in New Zealand. You know, I wasn't able to go out as much, and I kind of got a little bit of general anxiety or mild agoraphobia from it. And especially because like I was like, I don't want to see anyone because New Zealand's so small. Like a lot of the people literally live down the road. I was like, I don't want to see anyone.
Because New Zealand's it's basically an island, right? New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
Off Australia. Yeah.
It's it's not too far from Australia, completely different, but a couple of islands. And it's very close. Like honestly, I traveled to the States and people be like, oh, do you know Jim? And I'm like, actually I do know Jim.
Ooh,
It's like but it's like I've just been gradually building myself back up, and I had my dog of 14 years pass away in January, and that's been probably the hardest thing, even harder than leaving, because it was just like he was my family, and that was hard. But with everything that you kind of go through, you learn new coping mechanisms and ways to get by and to still be okay. So that's I guess what I'm going through.
So
sorry,
how would you no, it's okay. No, that's fine. I mean, that's not your fault. I mean, all that stuff you went through is not your fault. That's because the cult determined that'd be your punishment for leaving. I mean, that's definitely none of that is on you.
And it's weird because I wasn't disfellowshipped because technically, I mean, I have done things that I could be disfellowshipped for. So I don't know if any elder around here is watching, but and I haven't officially disassociated, so I'm just kind of in no man's land, but still getting the full effects of shunning, which is crazy.
I got you. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I managed to navigate the waters to not get disfellowshipped. I faded successfully. I just started my channel about 4 months ago. So if an elder does happen, like if somebody that knows me happens to see what I'm doing, I would probably be disfellowshipped immediately.
But so that's weird. Like I went viral on TikTok, and I'm like pretty well known around here.
Really?
Like not well known, like haha, look at me. But it's just like how the TikTok algorithm works and stuff. There are people that have found my my page, and there's no way that there are elders that don't know. and I still haven't been disfellowshipped. And like I had an elder, I was in the Spanish congregation when I left, and I had an elder from there leave recently. They woke up last year, and he contacted me like immediately. And him and his wife both left, and it's amazing. Like we all just went to the big gay out that Auckland had last month, and that was like insane.
That's great. That's like like your first foothold in something outside of the organization.
Yeah,
like,
it's really weird, like seeing each other, and like I like. So what I'm saying is like I'm pretty well known as an apostate, I guess. I don't hide that. And I just want to be there for people when they leave, because it's really scary. It's really lonely, and you think that you're the only one that's going through this, but you're not. So yeah, that's I guess my little thing.
Well, that's a great story. I mean, you're very strong for doing that. I mean, that is definitely not easy, and it's not easy by design. It is made to be as impossible as it can be by the organization. And the fact that you conquered that and are growing past what they allow it's a testament to you. So yeah, that's really awesome. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's pretty disgusting the way they basically try to structure things so that you cannot flourish once you're outside. But once you are outside and you start flourishing, you're basically just completely countering their narrative. So
honestly, it's insane. Like, because sorry to go on about myself as well, but it's I got heavily into debt, like trying to keep up with witnesses and do all of the different things that everyone was doing. And I applied for insolvency last year and had to do that. I've not really spoken about this in like to anyone really. But I wouldn't have been able to do that as a witness, because that kind of falls under bankruptcy, and to do bankruptcy calls reproach on Jehovah. That gives Jehovah a bad name.
I've heard of that crazy crap on this side of the water too. Yeah.
And if I hadn't have done that, like I wouldn't have been able to, like, because Nacho, my dog, got cancer, so I had to pay for his treatment. As much as I could at the time, and then start saving money. And then like now I'm planning to move to the UK after visiting the States in August. So it's like none of this would have been possible. And to me, this is like, I feel like I'm finally putting my life together at like 37, but it just wouldn't have been possible as a witness. And to bring like the weed into it, how there is that stereotype that as soon as you try drugs, as soon as you try weed or alcohol or anything outside of the religion, it's bad and your life will be in the gutter. And I'm just like, no, I've done weed multiple times, had the best experiences, and now I'm like continuing to move forward. Like there's absolutely nothing to how they portray people that leave the religion, except that it's when it affects you emotionally and you do find ways to cope that can be harmful to yourself, but that has nothing to do with not being a Jehovah's Witness. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. I had the same kind of sentiment on this side too. Witnesses have this bizarre idea that bankruptcy is somehow immoral. But it's like, no, bankruptcy is a government protection when you get in over your head. Like it is something the government provides you to help you. I have a brother who is I haven't talked to him I talk to him once a month for strictly business reasons, but outside of that I don't know anything that's going on in his life, and it's been like that for like 10 years. Anyway, last time I talked to him, heavy debt, owes the IRS money, the Internal Revenue Service in the United States money, back taxes, medical bills. I'm like, dude, declare bankruptcy. Just get it over with. Like, forget it. No, it'll bring a reproach upon Jehovah's name. Like, why? Like, it doesn't make sense. The government is providing you this service to help you. It makes no sense. I actually, the first thing I did when I got out of being a witness is I helped my dad file for bankruptcy because medical debt and stuff. And I'm like, Dad, why suffer? Just get rid of it. And we did that. We went through chapter, I forget it was chapter 7 or chapter 13, but basically the bankruptcy that involves you paying back
chapter 13.
Yeah, paying back for 3 years some of the debt, but then
Oh,
once the
that's
3
what
years
I.
are up, then
Yeah.
the rest of the debt's canceled. Yeah, that's what we do with my
That's
dad.
I'm
what
in that
I'm
right
doing,
now, so
and they're calling
Yeah.
it insolvency here. So yeah, that's
Insolvency.
what
Yeah,
I'm
I
doing.
figured. Yeah, when I heard the term, I was like, that sounds very similar to
Yeah.
that. That's what my dad did. I put my dad through Chapter 13 bankruptcy. After 3 years, he paid payments for 3 years, like diligently, and then when it was done, it was done, and then he was debt free. And his life, and that was like 13 years ago now. His life has drastically improved. Like the quality of life, the stress level has gone down. Everything is just better.
But it's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, and the government's providing, the government provides that to you as a service. Like, here, take this. If you need help, take it. It's something the government is giving you. It's
And,
not
like,
a cheat. Yeah.
The witnesses were kind of like aware of my situation, some of them, before, like that I was in debt and that I was struggling. Like I could
Yeah.
barely pay rent and I could barely
Yeah.
feed myself. And they were just like, oh, well, pray to Jehovah.
Jovial.
Classic.
Yeah.
Have you tried going out and field service more? And I'm like, no, Barbara, I actually need to work.
Jehovah will fix it. Yeah. It's the
Yeah.
grand lie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you for telling me about that. That was interesting.
It's okay. I'm a very chatty person, especially like
Yeah.
this time of
I
night.
can be too. I don't know if you watched my last stream, but I downed 2 Fosters, like 25-ounce Foster cans during the last stream, and now I'm on a 12-ounce Bodhisattva. So
Nice.
I get chatty when I get tipsy. So I really
For me,
appreciate you
it's
telling
my
me
ADHD.
about all that. So Slew, tell me about yourself. You live in, you said Ohio, right? Ohio. Yeah, Ohio. Tell me about your backstory.
This is a great time to ask me. I grew up in an independent Baptist church. I was a Baptist for 26 years, something like that. I'm 34 now.
Okay.
So I started to question things whenever I was 26. It was kind of a slow process for me to get out of the shit.
Yeah.
First it was kind of like, well, they didn't want to marry me and my fiance at the time because we were living under the same roof. Now they had just got done like marrying somebody that was there. It was like the trustees, that we had deacons and trustees along with the pastor, and like the trustees' daughter had gotten pregnant, and they just married them like not that long ago.
Kind of a double standard going on, like
a little bit
rules for thee but not for me kind of thing.
Yeah, and it was like her parents they were splitting up, and she had no place to go. That like her mom was going to another state, her dad was going to another state.
Yeah.
And there we were trying to find a house. And so the pastor found out that because my mom started going to church again after my grandma died, she started going to church, and then she must have was talking with people, the congregation and everything, and it got around to the trustees, and they told the pastor, and the pastor said that he wasn't going to marry us if we were under the same roof.
Oof.
And
so wait, you guys would have I'm sorry, you guys would have to split to get married so you can go back together under the same roof?
Yeah.
Oh, so weird.
Right?
Wow.
And
yeah.
So my mom ended up lying and telling him that she was staying at her house and I was staying up at my grandparents' house.
Wow.
It was just the dumbest fucking thing. And then
did that work on him? Did he marry you like believing that?
He just assumed that we were just going to do, and I'm like, well, okay, well, we might just not want to get married by you then.
Yeah.
But I had already suckered my fiance into, like, I had converted her or had taken her into our church and everything at this point.
Yeah.
And she was really wanting to get married there. So we put on, the show for all of that, but
right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so did you guys get married? Like, did it work out and you guys got married by that past?
Well,
okay.
I mean, it didn't work out, but yeah.
Oh, okay, so you
I mean,
guys
we
have
were married
recently
at
split
20
then?
21 or something like that. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I didn't get to know myself or anything, you know. I didn't have a
Yeah.
personality of my own in religion.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get that.
Yeah.
And you know, anytime about the time you're trying to figure those things out, you're relying on somebody else and you're relying on a God and all of that stuff. It isn't
Yeah.
until after that started to break down for me that I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Interesting. That sounds
because
very like tumultuous. Like it's very kind of
our
like a
marriage,
thrashing
well,
or yeah.
yeah, our marriage wasn't working out and stuff. I I had mental health issues and stuff that I was
Yeah.
ignoring because
Yeah.
you know we didn't take mental health seriously. Um, and you know some of it because of religious trauma that I didn't realize this is side effects of that that's happening right now.
Yeah.
Because I was still in it.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, it was kind of a little bit at a time until it
Yeah.
was just all at once.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Because
I can
like once you
understand. Like
start
once
to tug on the thread, it's
yeah.
it's
When
just
you're in the
gone.
middle of it and everything's happening around you, it's really hard to get like perspective on exactly what's going on. It's not until like kind
Yeah.
of later when you look back and go, okay, I kind of see how things were. Yeah, I can understand that. So where are you now? Like what I don't want to ask you to label yourself, but like where are you now? Like faith wise,
I mean, I can give you
relationship
all
wise,
kinds
like
of
kind of like where are
labels.
you? Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And only share what you are willing to share. Like you don't have to answer
oh,
my
I'd share
questions if you don't want
all
to.
of it.
Yeah.
I'm atheist, Satanist, humanist,
Okay.
depending on
Cool.
what the question is about me, I guess. It's all
Yeah, yeah.
kinds of
Okay.
labels, right?
Cool.
And in light of
Um,
today's show, you're a botanist too.
yeah.
Cool.
Oh man,
Okay, so yeah, when I first joined, I got the impression you were still a Baptist, but you're not. You're a former
no,
Baptist, independent
right?
Baptist. Now you're an atheist, Satanist,
Yeah,
pot smoker. Okay, cool.
yeah.
All
You
right.
just, you
I
just see Baphomet
well,
behind him.
we ended up having we had a miscarriage that kind of led to a lot of
Oh, I'm
questioning
sorry.
and stuff too, because it was like
Yeah.
whenever she was having the procedure to clean everything and all of that, and it was like
Yeah.
um you know we're torn apart and everything, and we're trying to figure out what to
Yeah.
do, and
Naturally.
they're asking questions about if we wanted a burial or, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and no, we ended up like donating it to the hospital or whatever so they could do research and stuff, which was weird because,
Yeah.
but I guess that's because it was already kind of starting to work at that point that I was coming down out of things
Yeah.
because we both were. We quit going to church after we had gotten married in it because we were the pastor that just all it kind of rubbed us the wrong way. And
Yeah.
then this miscarriage happened. We started asking all these questions. It's like, I'm like, this is the same thing as if you had an abortion that they're going to do now.
Yeah.
And it hit me like it just dawned on me. It's like, okay, then God just aborted this kid.
Yeah.
And, kid in that thought process. But that just, it hit me then. It's like, that doesn't make sense. How can he be against this and doing it at the same time?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, because that
And
was completely out of your control. Like that was
yeah,
either nature or God at that point. So
yeah,
like
and after that, it was kind of, and we ended up getting pregnant like shortly after that. So my marriage was falling apart. I was having a kid. We had, after just having a miscarriage,
yeah.
and we were it like I was deconverting too, or starting to.
Yeah. And how old are
But
you right now?
34.
34. Okay, yeah. And so how long ago is this? Probably what, a few years or
Yeah, it's been 6 years. You're making me do math while I'm high.
Well, you're 34
No, about
now.
eight years,
Okay.
I would say.
How do you feel? How how do you feel? How far you've come? Like, do you feel you're still healing from that whole experience? You're still processing it, or do you feel like you've moved on? Now you're just kind of going on to something
I
new. Like,
I
where are
don't
you
think
at?
it ever ends. I
Okay.
think it gets better, but I don't think it ever ends. I'm
Yeah.
finding that out.
Yeah. I can't imagine what it's like to have, you know, lost kid, miscarriage, or anything. Because like my wife never gotten pregnant. We never will. Imagine what that's like just the emotions around that, the trauma, and having to move
Well,
on.
yeah,
Like,
and
if you can ever move on. Yeah,
Mm.
that's fascinating.
I mean, I'd been convinced that this clump of cells was a baby, like a baby
Yeah.
baby, and yeah, wild.
Yeah.
But and my brother started asking me questions after. He's 10 years older than me,
Yeah.
and he had been an atheist. He claimed since his teenage years or whatever, but I think he
Yeah.
was influenced still by some of it. He has said, like, even when he went into the army straight out of high school,
Yeah.
um, and he kind of, I think, getting out and out of this area and meeting new people and stuff and seeing different countries and stuff too, and all of that opened his mind up to a lot of things.
Yeah.
But
Gotcha. So how would you say you are now? Like, where are you now? Where do you see yourself going? Like, I know it's probably a weird question to answer, but like, how are you now? Basically, is what I'm asking.
uh I don't know. I'm I'm good, but I'm good with myself anyway.
Yeah.
But um I'm high.
That's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay, well, cool. Well, yeah, that's quite the story, and that's rough. That's a very. I mean, I think we all have trauma. Like, a few things you mentioned reminds me kind of my backstory, which I'm not going to go into at all. But some things that remind me of my backstory. It's like the whole reason I got out is because I started seeing like hypocrisy and failed promises and things in the organization. And that's what got me out 14 years ago. And when I say the organization, I mean the Jehovah's Witnesses. Um, so yeah, like yeah, kind of looking back and seeing like double standards and hypocrisy and
Right.
weird religious bureaucracy, and then on top of that having to deal with like personal drama. Like that's yeah, man, I feel
What
for you. That's
really
crazy.
Well, and what really cinched it for me was like my brother kept telling me about podcasts. I'm like, I don't know what a podcast is.
Yeah,
Back then I didn't care. I didn't know. But he kept asking me these questions and stuff, and then he made me start questioning things,
yeah,
and it just all unraveled on me. And I'm like, well, maybe there's something out there, maybe there isn't, whatever. And
yeah,
stayed in that area for a minute, but I was like, I had started thinking about the podcast thing, and I couldn't think of any of the names of the podcasts or anything that he had told me about. And it was like Atheist Experience and R and Raw and stuff like that. And I
yeah,
hadn't, it, I couldn't think of any of those things. And I downloaded the app and stuff, and uh, I I just thinking of words and things that I might want to learn about or whatever. And it was like, secular sexuality is what came into
yeah.
my mind
No
Yeah,
pun
because of the
intended, right?
sexual, issues and stuff and everything. Because I'm questioning everything at this point. It's like, well, what else? Why?
Mm.
You know, what else is going on here? And I started listening to Dr. Daryl Ray, that runs the Recovering from Religion Foundation. He's the founder of it,
yep,
and he would he would talk to just all kinds of different people about sex and stuff, just
yeah,
having these open conversations, that I'd never
Mm.
heard or had or anything,
yeah,
and it was crazy to me. And this guy's older, he's a psychologist, he's a doctor, he's got degrees in all of this, and I'm hearing him it blew my mind. Like, it opened my mind up, and then there was things that he would talk about with religion influencing sexual what do I want to say? Like with the guilt and shame and stuff towards and how that influences our mental health and everything. He was going in and into detail and kind of breaking these things down a bit. In each episode, there was different things about this, and I'm like, between that and then just the people he had on were from all walks of life. He might have, I believe he had a prostitute on that was talking with him at one point, and there were just polyamorous people, and like everything that I never got to hear another side on other than what my religion had beat into my head, you know?
Yeah.
And that was whenever it was like, it all came undone. Like at a certain point over between that and then slowly shifting, because he's kind of involved with the atheist experience and stuff too. I slowly started to listen to those podcasts, and I was into deism for a second, and like Tracy Harris comes on and starts talking about the one thing that I had going on with that at the time.
I think Tracy's journey was very similar. Yeah, she went from theism to deism to atheism. Yeah,
it couldn't have been a more perfect time, because I'm right at the deist thing, and she's talking to a viewer that's a deist, and I'm like, it was the exact thing that was going on in my mind, and she broke it down just so perfectly.
Tracy's awesome. Like, she has a way of just cutting through the crap to the core.
Oh,
of the issue. Yeah. I hope to meet her one day. She's because when I deconverted 14 years ago, I also I think one of the first things I was exposed to was the atheist experience. And I was listening to Matt, Tracy, Jeff D, Russell Glassier, Don Baker, and listening to them for
I was really
every
sad
week.
to see the women leave, because they were some of the bigger influences for me.
Yeah.
Between them and like Dr. Daryl Ray, they're kind of,
Yeah. And Matt has since left too as well. I guess the ACA just has some issues around it. Like, not critical issues, but it was enough to get them to leave, and Matt eventually to leave. But it's fine, because now Matt's on the line. He's building that. I think Tracy's doing a podcast, and she's building that.
Yeah, Tracy.
It's probably a good thing in the long run, because we're diversifying.
I like that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, hey man, thank you for telling me about it. That was really awesome. All right. And James, tell me about yourself then.
Well, since you seem to commandeer my channel right now.
I'm so sorry. I did not mean to take over as host. I was just, okay, listen. I got about, let me do the math here.
Okay, we're all going to ask you questions next. So.
I got about 64 ounces of beer in me right now. So I'm sorry if I'm a little.
So he's going to be doing the bathroom run here pretty soon.
Yeah.
No, it's cool, man. It's fine. I'm just messing with you. We're all good. No,
I had to stop myself from asking everybody questions too, because I'm the same way. I think
I was just trying to get to know everybody. I was like, well, I might as well get into life stories here. Let's go ahead and get into everything.
It's all good, you know. Hey, if it really was a big problem and I had an issue with it, I would have jumped in earlier. But
absolutely.
I'm just letting you know. It's all good.
Just pull me out of the chat. Just disconnect me, and if I'm becoming a problem,
remove from stream. Goodbye. No.
Yeah.
No, I was born in, and of course we talked earlier. I pioneered back in 2000s. At 19 years old, I made it all the way up to being a ministerial servant.
Nice.
And
same here. I made it. That's how high I made it too before I left. So,
I wasn't allowed.
Well, yeah, you're a woman. I mean, you're not allowed to those things.
Well, you weren't even allowed to speak technically.
Yeah. You gotta put a hat on to teach when a male is present. Oh my god, so bizarre. Yeah.
I had somebody put a paper napkin on their head one time when I was out in service with them.
I've heard of stories like that.
Yeah.
Like that's so crazy when you are so bound, like you're so pharisaically devout, like bound to these rules that you do absurd things like put a paper towel on your head. Like it becomes a mockery. It becomes a mockery of the whole arrangement.
Do you guys
Yeah.
ever just sit back and laugh about that shit? Like looking
Yeah.
back at it?
Oh,
or is
yeah.
it-
Yeah, I laugh out
Yeah.
all kinds of things from the witnesses. Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
Well, like,
Yeah.
I'll give
what
you
was God? What was God gonna do if you didn't have a napkin on your head or whatever? Like,
Like
where's this?
burn down the church or something. Yeah, burn down the Kingdom Hall.
I was like,
I would be disfellowschopped and like shunned. Oh my god.
I was baptized at
Why would he
13.
want you to? Like, God's around. Cover your head. Like, what?
Yeah.
So I'll give
Yeah.
you a little story. I was baptized at 13, and soon after I got baptized, I was out in service, knocking on doors with a group of people, and we were in a parking lot, starting to make the arrangements for who was going to go where. And now this sister who was in my hall at the time, she was the mother of the girl I had the crush on at the time, basically. And she was very outspoken and very loud, and she was starting to take the lead and, just starting to divvy it up. And I'm a 13-year-old boy, this is a grown woman. Okay.
Yeah.
Technically, if you look at things in perspective, the older
Yeah.
person with the experience and maturity should take the lead, right?
Yeah. But you're a male and you're baptized at this point, right?
That's right. I was male.
Yeah, you're in
and
charge.
I
Yeah.
was
You have a penis and the penis tells you what to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes it tells me fun things to do, but that's besides the point. But I remember I interrupted her. I said, "Excuse me, sister,
Oh my
aren't I the
god.
baptized brother here? Shouldn't I be taking
Excuse
the lead?"
me. I'm in
And she's like-
charge here.
and her face, "Oh, yes, you're right. I'm sorry." And at the time, I'm like, "Yeah," because I'm the baptized brother, thinking about.
Yeah.
But now I look back at that, I'm like, God, that is cringy as
Yeah.
fuck. You know?
Just because you have a penis and you're baptized, you're in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're 13 or 14. Yeah. That's crazy.
It was so. To fast forward to what got me out for you here. I remember having my first visceral doubt at the age of 26. I had just started a new job and new career. I went to trade school and I started welding. I was working at a shipyard down in Florida.
Yeah.
And it was getting near Christmas time, and a guy at work asked me, "Hey, what are you doing for Christmas?" And of course, naturally, being a Jehovah's Witness, we don't celebrate Christmas. I said, "Nothing, because I'm a Jehovah's Witness. I don't celebrate it." And he goes,
Yeah.
"Well, why don't you celebrate Christmas? It's for the kids." And
Mhm.
in that moment, you know how like on TV, you'll see like a flash or scene, to whatever imaginary thing that they're going through at the time, right?
Yeah.
Well, I literally had that
It's a
happen.
moment of self-reflection. Like you're
Yeah.
suddenly
Oh,
like
no,
pieces
not
are
at the
coming together
drama.
in your brain. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this was at this point, we already had our first child, because I married my wife. She was 18, I was 21 when we got married. So we already had our first child.
Wow.
Our second one, I think he was either born or just being born, about to be born at this point.
Yeah.
And I remember when he asked me that question, like I mentally took a step back and had a vision in my head of my kids opening up Christmas presents on Christmas Day and how happy they would be to get it and be able to go to school and tell their friends what they got. But that flash kind of like went in and went out, and I pushed it aside because no, that's not right.
Yeah.
Well, that was my first doubt that I remember. And then later on, fast forward to the year. Well, I'll fast forward to like 2013, because at that point I was almost ready to leave, and I didn't, because I had knew a lot of stuff was wrong. My parents had actually already left. They left in 2011, and my dad was an elder and everything, and they left. And so I was going from job to job. I was living in Florida. I was about to lose a house. I applied for the job up here in Virginia. I got it. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to move away. I'm going to go to Virginia. And I was thinking I'm going to make a clean getaway at that point.
Yeah.
And I didn't, because like my in-laws are still Jehovah's Witnesses even to this day. My wife's dad is an elder. And for some reason, I just couldn't let that go, and because they always were helping us, even though her mom could be a real pain in the ass. They still were always there for us and did a lot for us.
Yeah.
And at the same time, about 2014, my brother, who had been away from the organization for about 10 years at this point, not going to meetings, not doing nothing, not just fellowshipped or anything, just was out. He started going back in. And I started thinking, well, I need to do better with this. So I started trying to go back in. We actually ended up writing our parents letters and telling them what a therapist would call like a vomit letter or crap letters or whatever,
Yeah.
just laying everything on the table. And in 2014, I had a phone call with my mom telling her basically that, I've made the decision to stay in the organization and that I'm no longer going to be speaking to them because they were, for all intents and purposes, apostates. And so I started with my parents at that time. Now, I'm going to put a little plug in for the Secular Soapbox. If you go to last week's episode, April 12th, my parents and I were on Secular Soapbox talking about this.
Oh, wow.
So you can go back and watch that episode a little bit if you want to.
I'll have to
see them. So I started shunning my parents at that point, and my brother obviously already was too. In 2017, I moved to Tennessee from Virginia. Now, part of the reason why was to be a better Jehovah's Witness, because where I was working in Virginia was not considered a non-neutral job, i.e., I was building ships for the Navy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm a welder, and so I was welding stuff for ships for the Navy. So, Jehovah's Witnesses don't want you getting involved in warfare of any kind, and that is a problem. Now,
did you find yourself just welding for non-naval stuff, and then all of a sudden one day your boss is like, "You're welding this over here for the Navy"? No,
okay. Not at all. So, when I applied for the job, I researched the company, and they used to do commercial work, and I thought they still did when I moved up here. And I'm like, well, even if they put me on the Navy side, I could try to work my way into the commercial side and everything will be okay. Well, when I got up here, they had stopped doing commercial work back in the 90s. So there was no chance of that happening. And then one day after a meeting on Sunday, a couple brothers took me into the back room and basically told me that if I didn't quit working there, that Jehovah was going to destroy me in Armageddon. Yeah.
Crazy.
Make this bigger. I don't know why I'm keeping that on the screen for so long.
Yeah, we're way past that.
Yeah. And so me being who I am, the following week I had done some research in Watchtower's own literature. I called those two elders back myself the following week. And I can't remember where it's at because this was like in 2015, I think it was, before I moved to Tennessee. And I found an article in the Watchtower that says, if your heart's in the right condition, doesn't matter where you're at, what you're doing, basically, Jehovah is selective in his destruction. So basically, if I'm trying to do the right thing, God's not going to kill me in Armageddon like you guys just told me last week.
I'm going to predict that did not work on them.
Well, it didn't wake them up, but what it did do was they never bothered me about where I worked ever again.
Oh, I'm shocked at this. Wow.
Yeah.
Wait,
so you successfully pushed back against the elders and they backed off.
Mm-hmm.
That's fascinating. Wow.
Yeah.
I would not have guessed that. Wow.
Yeah.
So wait, at that point you could weld by day and dance at night?
Well, I was a night shift worker even then, so.
So I was making a flash dance joke. Come on.
I was just turning it around.
I'm fascinated that worked. Normally that does not, because when an elder bites a bone, he does not let go.
Well, I mean, if you go by the Elder's Manual too, when they give you counsel like that, you have roughly about 6 months to find other employment. Otherwise, they'll disassociate you.
Okay.
Or disfellowship you or whatever. I never got disassociated or disfellowshipped or anything as a result of working there because of that pushback. So yeah.
Wow. That's I would say you're probably in the minority on that because I know
Yeah.
I've heard plenty of stories where people pushed back and they regretted it, or at least it didn't work.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating.
And
Huh?
so now going back to being in Tennessee now, so I moved there to get away from this job to be a better JW.
Yeah.
My in-laws built their retirement home there. So we also moved there to be closer to them.
Yeah.
Well, when we were living there, I was always the kind of do all my own car work as much as I can. If I can't figure it out, I'm a YouTube mechanic and I will try to figure out and do it all myself.
Yeah.
I had a car that I was having all sorts of problems with. Transmission went on it. Then I had to pay a shop to get that rebuilt. A couple weeks after my transmission went on me, my engine seized up on me. So I had to get a new engine put in the stupid thing. But I was on YouTube a lot. Now, at this point, I was not searching for anything XJW, apostate, none of that at all. Wasn't even thinking about that. I started seeing in my suggested feed videos of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses come up. Don't know why, but that's what I started getting. And so I got curious. What can I say? You know, so clicked on one. Of course, I'm on my phone, my headphones in, because I'm, got my wife. She's with me. Got kids, so I don't want them to hear it and be like, what are you watching? Yeah. And I started watching apostate videos. Now, not like I just started watching one and then I was all in. I watched a little bit of one. I'm like, oh wait, this is apostate. I shouldn't be watching this, kind of put it down and but then I remember what I watched made sense, like more sense than sitting in a Kingdom Hall my whole life ever made, And so I'm like, and what they were saying was true at the same time. And so I started watching more and more until I was just like, I'm all in watching, hours and hours of content. The job I had in Tennessee, I was lucky I could put on my phone and I was listening to like Lloyd Evans all day long and Kim and Mikey and Susan Gaskin and, all those people. And at first I would look up the scriptures or the articles that they quoted, because, them lying, deceiving apostates want to mislead you and everything.
Yeah.
So, I verified it all. And I'm like, this is all true.
This is actually what it says.
This is what it says. I mean, and so they weren't lying. And then the straw that broke the camel's back was the Australian Royal Commission.
Yeah.
And this was 2018.
Yep.
That I found out about this. The commission actually took place in 15, but this was 18 when I found out about it.
I remember watching the commission live. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was pretty crazy.
I had no idea about it when it happened, but
Neither.
Yeah.
No idea until I left.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the commission is what finally shined the light on how proliferant, like how widespread this problem was with the organization. Because in just one country, Australia, you had 1,000 abusers, 1,600 abused, compared to the relatively small number of witnesses in that country. Like if you just extrapolate worldwide based on those
and
numbers,
that's just
it's
like just the known ones. Yeah.
Exactly. The numbers are astronomical in this organization if you can extrapolate based off of those numbers. Yeah, it's insane.
You want to know what lines actually got me? Like, so I watched it from day 1 to day 8, all the way through. But what actually got me wasn't the part when usually the one you hear a lot is when Jeffrey Jackson goes, "Are you God's one and only true organization?" And he goes, "That
would be presumptuous." Yeah,
right.
Yeah. What an asshole!
That's the one that got me.
That wasn't the one that got me.
My coffin. Yeah.
That wasn't the one that got me.
I was like, "That's it. That's not."
You want to know what got me?
Yes.
The one that got me was when Stewart was asking him about if a witness fades and they celebrate Christmas and an elder goes and knocks on their door to check on them, would they be disfellowshipped for celebrating Christmas?
Yeah.
And he outright lied and said no. Where
I'm
gonna show you something. I got.
Oh wow.
This is my dad's elder book that he used to have.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to touch that.
I know it's a bunch of bullshit, what he said there. I knew that was a lie. Having grown up, having my father been an elder my whole life that I remember, and being in the organization and him saying, no, they're not going to get disfellowshipped. I'm like, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that was my, I'm done with this shit moment.
Yeah.
And from there, it was just a matter of me finding my way out. Of course,
Mm.
now I said I'm living in Tennessee with my wife and kids. I have 3 kids now. And
Wow.
My wife's dad's an elder to this day. My wife's mother's a pioneer. I'm sure she still is to this day. Okay.
Yeah. What's your wife's status at this point?
Well, my wife, from the time we started dating, told me she didn't believe in it.
Okay.
Wow.
So I was
Gotcha.
the idiot that kept her in all these years. She was very patient with me.
Well, hey, it worked out in the end at least.
I've
Yeah.
got a question. Is there the unequally yoked thing as
Oh,
well?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
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 And see that-
I had I'm sorry, I had a similar experience. Like you knew of the unequally yoked doctrine, but you still pursued a relationship with her, and it worked out for you in the long run.
Well,
Like,
okay. No,
that's
she
great,
wasn't.
though.
She wasn't. Okay. So, of course, we were both part of the organization when I met her.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And even though she didn't believe it, she actually got baptized so she could specifically marry me.
Okay. Yeah.
Not
she
because she
wasn't-
really believed it.
She wasn't really committed or anything. She was just like, I'm just going to do this just so I can fulfill these requirements too. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean,
gotcha.
she would tolerate, my, going in and out and everything of want to be better or not doing well at all. She didn't really care.
Yeah.
So that was the good thing. But what made me feel really bad was because we were living close to her parents and we were doing a lot of stuff with them, and she had her sister there as well. And I remember the day when she asked me, because she at this time she was working night shift, and it was a Sunday morning. Her parents lived about an hour away from us in Tennessee, and we were actually going to go to her parents' hall that day because her dad was giving a talk. And that morning, she was in the shower getting ready, and she asked me, "Do you believe in it anymore?" And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, well, I was fully awake at this point, wanting to get the hell out. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, if I say yes, we're going to prolong this and stay here. Or if I say no, I'm kind of just throwing all my cards up in the air and seeing where they're going to land.
It's a big risk. Yeah.
Even though I knew she didn't believe it, the biggest thing I felt bad about would be knowing that her family connection would have been broken.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt the worst about right there.
Yeah.
But I just went for it. I said, no, I don't. And she was like, okay. Well, later that day, after she had processed me saying that, we were at her parents for lunch. Her face was just visibly, she was upset, because she knew what the implications of me saying no that morning meant. And her dad tried getting it out of me, and I skirted around it and this and that. And finally, after that day, we were well on to making our plans. I went and applied for my job back here in Virginia. She was applying for jobs again. And this from August of that year till, well, let me go to December, because we did a lot of stuff in that time frame, because not only were we leaving the witnesses, we had to tell our 2 older kids that we were leaving and why. Yeah. And then on top of that, we were celebrating birthdays already. We did Halloween. And then for Christmas that year, we planned to go to see my parents. Now, I had contacted my parents, when I woke up, and started talking to them and, getting, reunited with them that way. They lived in upstate New York. Well, they still live in upstate New York right now, but they lived there and we were in Tennessee. So we made plans to go to their house for Christmas. And of course, you talk about a reunion. I hadn't seen my parents. The last time I physically saw my parents before that was like January 1st of 2013.
Yeah.
And that was before I moved to Virginia. And so I hadn't seen him for all that time. And then on top of that, you add those years of shunning in between it, and then, hey, I woke up now when we reunited. I mean, the Christmas was absolutely beautiful, going up there and celebrating it with them and getting to hug them and hold them and be with them. And my middle son's birthday is the day after Christmas too.
Yeah.
And my parents go to a Universalist Unitarian church up there. They're atheists and everything, but they have it for the community aspect of it and all that.
Yeah. Universalist church usually that's the appeal of it is the community. Yeah.
And so we planned it out to the whole church on my son's birthday, which we celebrated everything a day early that year because I didn't have a whole lot of time. Because on January 6th, I think it was. Yeah, January 6th was the day that I was physically packed up and moving back to Virginia. So from Christmas time to January 6th, I was working full time and overtime. We were going to my parents' house and coming back, packing up to move. It was a very hectic time. And then in the middle of all of that, my brother gives me a call one day while I'm at work. And he goes, "Hey, James, your father-in-law gave me a call and said you're having trouble. Is that true?" And of course, by having trouble, he means with the organization and witnesses.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, it's true." I just came out right and said it. Even though I could have stayed on the phone and talked to him while I was at work, I didn't want to. So I used work as an excuse to get off the phone call with him because I didn't like the circumstance in which I got the call, because you're calling me in the middle of my work day out of the blue, and he never was the one to instigate calling me to begin with. And so I said, "Look, man, I'm busy at work. I need to get going. I'll give you a call later. Okay. That was the last time I ever talked to him.
Wow. How long ago was this now? Like, what year was this?
2018.
Wow. So you haven't talked to your brother in 5 years now.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, that's rough.
So, but we made our plans and we escaped. We never got disfellowshipped or disassociated that I know of.
Good.
So,
wow, that's amazing. All three of us, we avoided the religious consequences of leaving. Wow.
Woohoo.
That's crazy.
But my in-laws do know I am an apostate, and they know about my YouTube channel. So,
wow.
Fascinating. Yeah, that's quite the journey out.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for telling me that.
Oh, I forgot to tell you. Oh, go ahead, Slew. Go ahead. What's the question?
No, I just had a random question about like where your religion was with like science and stuff, like how
weird relationship.
Are you like, were you fundamentalists ish or?
Yes. So okay,
no.
yes and no. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, so the Earth is billions of years old, but man appeared 6,000 years ago. Like that's at least that's what I was taught. Yeah.
But a creative day, according to their doctrine, was like 49,000 years.
A creative day was an indeterminate amount of time. So their idea of, okay, Genesis is not literal, but Genesis is true, but every day is an indeterminate amount of time. So the 6 days of creation could have been billions of years. So therefore the Earth, with all the science around it, yes, it's billions of years old. But Adam and Eve were real. They were created by Jehovah 6,000 years ago. And that's real. Like, it's
and the flood
it's a really weird mixture.
That like we can't trust like scientists and man, like the carbon dating and like fossils and stuff.
Thing.
Like you can't trust that.
The
dinosaurs were here to prepare the earth for the humans.
Oh, they loved Ken Ham at my church. They were big Ken Ham fans. It's along the same lines. Yeah, 6,000-year-old Earth and all that, or 3,000.
We had a blue book called "How Did Life get here by evolution or by creation.
That's
And I need to get a hold. I think I might have one out of the shed. So okay, my dad deconverted about 4 years ago, and he has a ton of books, and they're all in like the
nice.
shed in the backyard. Yeah, I need to go out and basically dumpster dive and go find some. Oh, hey, there you go.
Oh,
there it
there we
is.
go.
That's the book. Yeah,
That's the book.
I would love to. I probably have one out in the shed, but I should probably get a hold of a copy of that book and just start really deep diving it and doing a series on it, because there's a lot of bad information in that book.
This book here is my dad's copy, and
That's the original blue hardcover book too. Like
got it
that's
July
Wow.
20th, 1985.
that's old school. Yeah.
See, I
used-
was told this was part of the reason why you guys were wrong, was because of all of these extra books you were adding to the Bible. Oh, and
No.
because it says not to add or
Studies.
subtract from the Bible.
Yeah.
and all of
That would
too.
be the
Oh,
Mormons.
that's all supplementary material. I mean, the Bible is our
Study
core
aids.
doctrine.
Yeah.
But all the books are just that's all supplementary.
See,
the Bible
Yeah.
study aids.
we
And,
don't-
whenever one of our leaders references a publication, you know they're referencing the Bible by extension. So it's okay. Don't think about it. Yeah.
And thinking about like those books and stuff, like the Revelation book, and how they updated it, like
Oh, the Revelation
obviously
book,
before we
yeah.
had technology, and they'd send you
Yeah.
like the pieces to cover up the information in the book. So
Yeah,
I recently got,
they're bad predictions.
Yeah, I got like my hands on a
I
copy, and
got-
you can see
in-
the bits that have been covered over, and it's just
Yep.
like, how did I
In my-
not
I
see
remember.
this at the time?
I got a whole bunch of old literature right here in my credenza. That's
You got a
full.
collection there, yeah.
Nice.
I got a big
That's a good collection.
And I got some of the old books, like from Russell's era and everything there
Wow.
too.
Wow. See, I'm boring. I got like video games and like CDs and stuff. Like you got Jehovah's Witness publications. That's exciting stuff.
Yeah, man. You need
Got
Jeebus.
some Star Trek
guess so.
stuff back behind this, and
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have nothing right now because I'm house sitting.
Well, all the stuff that I got
mess.
was my parents, and they gave it to me, so
Yeah.
they just offloaded their stuff on me.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, like
So
some of those and those older books are going to become more and more valuable because they're essentially they're perpetually erasing history. Like,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
perpetually erasing like old light and embarrassing doctrine to replace it with their new stuff. So yeah, holding on to those books is important because it proves that they once believed something that is polar opposite of what they currently believe.
Mhm. And that's the thing with
Yeah.
the internet and them putting it all online nowadays. Is it's so easy to just go on there and edit
Just-
what's in
yep.
there
Edit.
and change it.
And remove Tony Morris.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing.
Oh,
Like
that
it's
is
not so
crazy.
easy with video. Like
Yeah.
we don't know much about Tony Morris, but it's probably safe to say he was removed. He was deleted as a governing body member, probably deleted as an elder. And now they got to go back and edit video to remove him and erase him from history. Like
And-
I would
and they
hate to
can't-
be the guy that would be responsible for that.
And they can't even do that because the Internet Archives already have all that
Yeah.
stuff on it. So it's
Yeah.
not going nowhere.
Yeah, how do you explain away old video of Tony Morris? Like, oh, those are apostate lies. Like, no, it's Tony
Yeah.
Morris on video on
Yeah.
with your watermark. Like, how do you explain that away? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I can edit video, but I'm not that good.
When the governing body decided to make themselves basically superstars in the organization, they did not think about this happening, and I'm so glad it happened so soon. Like, how old is JW Broadcasting now? Like
2014.
10 years.
So
Okay,
almost
so
eight.
nearly
9
10
years old.
Yeah.
So 9 years of them doing this, and now it's like exploded in their face in this certain way. Like, I'm very happy it happened so quick.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
one thing. I don't know about you, Michelle, but like all those monthly JW broadcasts, I could not, when I was in, I could not stand to watch them.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
Like, I would be like, oh, I watched this show on Netflix or whatever, you know, if I was out with people witnessing, and they'd be like, why, like this one sister in particular, why on earth are you watching Netflix when we have so much on JW Broadcasting to watch? Like,
Yeah.
there's just so much I can't keep up, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm a bad witness for watching Gilmore Girls on Netflix. Like, what
Because
the
the
yeah.
acting's better on Netflix.
hell?
Oh.
Yeah.
I got out, so I got on.
Awful.
I got out in 2009, so 5 years before JW Broadcasting became a thing. I don't know how I would have reacted to it. It is so bizarre to me that there's a video production company within the organization with the governing body members as the main stars. Like, it's
weird,
bizarre
like,
to me.
how it all came out and how it all happened.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it was just like very slow, like a frog being boiled to death.
And see,
like,
and
you don't realize what's happening until it's already happened. And
to
then
help-
leaving, now I'm like, whoa, it's so obviously wrong.
and to help
Yeah.
help you understand a little bit more too, Slew, about all this. And I know Eric and Michelle will both agree with me on this. Growing up, the governing body were always like this vague.
No
Never
idea who they
knew.
were.
It was
Who they-
the man. It was
We
the
never-
man behind the curtain.
Right.
Like, you didn't
But-
know
Faithful
what was
and
going on
discreet
back there.
slave.
But
Yeah.
see, it was a thing that they were so humble and always, like, got their faces in, the Bible to, try to figure out what the best stuff is for us. That's the
Yeah.
idea we had about them.
And that
Like-
they were like, they're the leaders of the organization.
We knew
Pretty much.
they were
They're
the
They're our
leaders.
cult leaders.
We didn't know what they looked like or their names. But
Yeah.
in 2014, when they started the JW broadcasting, and now their faces are plastered all over the television screens all the time, and we see
Yeah.
who they are and how they act and their personalities, it became a shit show for
And
them.
how
because-
kooky they are.
yeah,
Like, they
Evil
are a
pigs.
bunch of they are senile old men at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
You know?
it's they're the leaders. Well, there's 10 of them now, but for the longest time it was 8 of them. They were the 8 leaders of the organization, and for the longest time they were just anomalous and just behind the scenes. And it was the governing body. It wasn't Tony Morris and Stephen Lett and the
Samuel
other
Hurd.
the other assholes behind them.
Jeffrey Jackson.
Yeah, Jeffrey Jackson. Yeah, it was just the anomalous governing body. They were the benevolent leaders connected with God that was directing everything, and it was all behind the scenes up till 2014. And then they made their production company because they completely shifted the way they approached to preaching and everything. They decided, hey, we're going to make videos now, and we are going to be the main stars. So they became front and center. Everyone knew their names, their faces, all their different mannerisms. And then the last 9 years has been like that until just a few months ago when they had to delete one of them because of whatever reasons.
Like,
either
remove them from their position.
Yeah, either they deleted him from either. There's all kinds of reasons, and there's nothing confirmed yet. But it might have been alcohol. It might have been him just being problematic with the doctrine because he said a lot of controversial things, essentially I can't wait till Jehovah deletes our enemies and they become like smoke from a match. Like, that was what this guy was saying. He was caught in a liquor store on Sunday morning buying like $1,000 of liquor, while all the other witnesses were at church. Like, a lot of problems around this guy. So they finally said, supposedly, we're deleting this guy. He's out. And now they got this problem of, well, he's been in a lot of videos for 9 years.
Yeah.
What do we do? Well, we're just going to slowly
that's-
erase history. Yeah, it's...
I guess we didn't have that problem because they could keep it. Our church was so small, and
Yeah.
if people left, they just went to one of the other little churches or whatever. They didn't
Yeah.
ever stick around for any,
That
I
is,
have heard
that
that
is,
he's in North Carolina, though. That was the last thing that I heard.
Oh, did they move him? Is he
Yeah.
actually physically out of Bethel? That
I
would
think
be
it is.
fascinating.
I heard South
That's what I
Carolina,
heard.
so
Oh, okay.
I mean-
Okay, so
it's
if,
close
if
enough
he
though.
if he is physically out of Bethel, that's even worse because
Yeah.
they
Because-
booted him off the campus. That's
Yeah, because
nuts.
I reported on that on our Apostate Weekly show the other week about him being in South Carolina because I saw a Reddit post about it. Now,
Yeah.
Okay.
I did
Yeah,
make
you're
sure
right.
to I did make sure to say though that this is a Reddit post. I can't corroborate this. I don't know for sure.
This is
but,
speculation territory.
you
yeah,
know, and
yeah.
and I try to make sure when it goes into that kind of territory that I say that because I don't want people thinking that I know these
Absolutely.
things for sure when I really
Yeah.
don't.
We know he's not a governing body member anymore. As
Yes.
far as that, we don't know anything else. Whether he was deleted or he stepped down on his own volition, whether he was kicked out, we know nothing about that. This is all speculation. But he is definitely not a governing body member anymore.
Correct.
I'm wondering what's going on with my church because they quit. They used to record. They recorded all of their sermons and everything too. The pastor did.
Yeah.
and then for a minute they did some video, and now I haven't seen like you can still find it on their Facebook, I think.
Yeah.
Older ones, but it's been years now since they've done anything like that. So I'm curious what happened with all of that. If it's something to keep from being out there because they're scared of, I don't know.
See, that's the one thing the witnesses don't do. They don't have a Facebook page.
Yeah.
Like the main witnesses. Now there are Facebook groups with Jehovah's Witnesses in it, but they're not sanctioned by the organization. They're their own groups
Gosh,
that they've made
for
up.
like the longest time, it was like Facebook is evil. Facebook is like the tool of Satan. Like, stay off the internet. Definitely don't go on Facebook.
And
It was just
one day they
Pokemon
realized
and
one
South
day
Park for us that was evil. So.
I think man, do you guys remember when The Simpsons was kind of called out within the witnesses? When The Simpsons was really like brand new, they did some like edgy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember at a circuit convention, the Simpsons were explicitly called out. Basically, like, the elder was like, "Don't watch this." Yeah.
Now, see, I remember that being the case with the Harry Potter movies
and Twilight.
Oh, yeah, Harry Potter definitely.
and Twilight, yes. But in my area where I was living at the time, Lord of the Rings was okay, but Harry Potter was bad.
I had that same thought. I was like, how come you guys are allowed to watch Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, but I can't watch Twilight? Like, what the hell?
So
it's really bizarre how the witnesses say, "Oh, we're unified belief worldwide. We're a worldwide brotherhood. We all have the same beliefs." But region to region, the rules are different. Yeah. Like in North Carolina, if I were to, let's say, like I was living in North Carolina and I was to, I don't know, go watch a rated R movie or date a worldly girl outside the organization, I would be disfellowshipped like that.
Yeah.
But if I lived in Southern California, I could go to parties, I could make out with girls, I could date worldly girls, I could do a lot and not get disfellowshipped because the rules are so different between the two regions.
So that was like my videos that went viral on TikTok was about like random things Jehovah's Witnesses aren't allowed to do. And I sort of like covered like the main ones that like literally they have publications saying don't do this. Yeah. But region to region and place to place, things are different. And people would come in there like active witnesses and be like, well, my brother dated someone and they'd never had a chaperone. And I'm like, yeah, but like they always talked about how you have to have a chaperone. You're not allowed to date on your own. And like facial piercings, voting, buying lotto tickets, like all of these different things. But I would have so many people saying lies. This girl is lying. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Yeah, and I'm like,
because their region is different.
For 30 years. I wasn't just in one town. I was all over the place. I traveled. I was in different congregations within New Zealand. Like, I know the full spectrum. And, like, I know that some people could get away with things and other people couldn't, depending on who your elders were, depending on who your friends were. And it was all about who you knew.
Well,
that's a big thing, too, yeah. If you're connected. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, remember the movie The Matrix?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I got a story about that.
So do I. That's what I'm going to tell you. So one day, and this was back right after it came out, there was this brother from England visiting my area. And I was talking to him because we were out in service together. And he asked me if I had seen the movie yet. And I'm like, no, it's rated R. We can't see that movie, you know? Well, in England, their rating system is different. It was like a 15 is what they call it over there.
Yeah.
So not nearly, basically like somewhere between our PG-13 and rated R is what it was. So it was okay for them to watch because
even the ratings that you guys are basing this off of is run by the government. That would be a worldly thing.
Yes, you're exactly right. And
that's just hitting me. It's just like,
But what the funny part is about the whole thing, though. Okay, so after that, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go see it now, and I went and watched it. That movie wasn't any worse than most of the PG-13 movies over here that I ever saw either. So I'm like, I don't get why it was rated R to begin with. I guess because it gets more people in to see it over the summer or something like that. That's my best guess. But like, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with seeing this movie.
Yeah. It's so funny
had
that you talk about North Carolina with the rating system as well, because I had a witness friend that I stayed with in North Carolina, and she was like, "Oh no, we can't see this because it's R-rated," and I was like, "I don't know what that means. Like,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
can't we see this?"
I had a similar experience. So my older brother's best friend was an elder, and for an elder, he was pretty cool and laxed. But I remember I was with my brother over at his house, and we were like playing like a board game or something like that. And just randomly, out of the blue, he leans over and he goes, "Eric, have you watched any R-rated movies?" And this is an elder, okay? Like just, and it was a jovial mood. So I kind of felt like, okay, he was joking, and I said, "Yeah, I did. I watched The Matrix." And he looked at me and he goes, "At least you made a good choice." And then that was the end. That was the end of the conversation. And looking back, I was like, if he was a hard ass, he could have made my life miserable after that point.
Yeah.
After I answered him, yeah. So he was pretty cool. Man, who was, I think it was last night, I was on Neil, the 604 Atheist channel, and I had another anecdote. In North Carolina, I was out in service with an elder, and we're driving down, he was a contractor, so he had like a Chevy 2500 or something like that, you know, 3/4 ton pickup truck. We're driving down the road, and he's like, "You want to listen to some music?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So he pulls out, what was the band's name? The album was called, the album had a magic ball on the front of it. Fleetwood Mac. It was Fleetwood Mac. The album had a crystal ball on it, and the song he wanted to play was Black Magic Woman. And he was like, "This is such a great song." And I was sitting there in the truck, and I was like, "Is this a test? Like, this is like so weird." Because he was completely, it was an elder. It was like a service overseer in the congregation. He's listening to Fleetwood Mac, Black Magic Woman on the radio out in service.
Oh my god!
Like, it blew my mind.
That's not Fleetwood Mac. I
Isn't
think
it?
that's like Santana, I think.
You're right. Black Magic Woman is Santana. It was okay. Well, hold on. Maybe I'm conflating the two, because there was definitely Crystal Ball on the cover. It must have been Fleetwood Mac. You know, maybe he talked about Black Magic Woman along with it. Fleetwood Mac albums. I'm checking it out.
Well,
it was like a crystal ball. Yeah.
I just as a side story, I remember probably in early 2019 or mid 2019, I put in my WhatsApp status that I was going to a concert with my guy friends, my guy J-Dub friends, and this elder looked up the name of the concert and saw that so I think it was Fall Out Boy, Green Day, and maybe Blink-182. I can't remember, but he was like, "Oh my god, you can't be advertising that you're going to this, because Green Day, do you know what the name of their song is on this one album?" And I was like, "Man, I don't really know." Oh, it was Weezer. So it was Weezer, Fall Out Boy, and Blink-182, and I love Weezer.
Yeah.
Can't believe I forgot that. I was like, "I don't really know, because I'm not going to see Green Day. I'm going to see Weezer and Fall Out Boy. Like, it doesn't really matter." And he's like, "Well, the song is like F you. So you can't go, and you shouldn't be telling people that you're going." And I was like,
yeah.
I already
should have said
it.
F you.
Like, I remember being so upset, and the same elder like absolutely hounded me again later on in 2020. I got an iPad and I downloaded Procreate, and I would like put up some picture that I made when I first started doing digital art, and I was like, "Oh my god, like practicing with Procreate." And he was like, immediately called me and was like, "You can't be saying that, because you're in a Spanish congregation and there are people that aren't native English speakers, and they're going to think that you're having sex." And I was like, "What?"
Oh, geez.
Yikes.
Just take that back a minute. Do you mean that like I'm mid thrust and just like, hold up, let me update my WhatsApp status and let everybody know that I've done this picture at the same time? Like, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
And it was insane, like just over the use of the word Procreate. And I was like, Procreate's not having sex, dude. Like, it's an app. Anyone can Google that. The whole first page of Googling is about the app. So, yeah, sorry. I've had that on my mind for a while.
That's okay. My dad made me get rid of a heavy metal album when I was younger from a group called Testament.
Really?
Yikes.
Yeah.
I had to. My brother made me get rid of an anime on DVD called Black Heaven. Black Heaven means outer space, but he looked at the title Black Heaven and he thought it was Black Heaven. Yeah, and I had to get rid of it. So the Fleetwood Mac album is the very best of Fleetwood Mac. It has a crystal ball on it, and the song track was Gold Dust Woman, not Black Magic Woman. I got that. 15 years, my memory just kind of,
It's
But,
okay.
yeah,
There's
that's
been
what
so
happened.
many women.
Yeah. But I had to get rid of a few things too because my oldest brother was overbearing, very domineering, and yeah, he would. And of all my family members, my entire family is either dead or out, except him. He is the only holdout in the religion.
Wow.
And yeah,
That was
so
me.
he's-
I was the last holdout.
yeah,
But so my mum left probably the same year that I got baptized, but we had a terrible
Yeah.
relationship. So I kind of used the religion to be like, I don't have to talk to my mum because she's not a witness.
yeah,
And my younger brother never got baptized, but he didn't really talk to me because I was a witness. So I was just like, sweet, I'll keep going.
yeah.
And now that I've left, I'm no contact with my mum because of how she was emotionally, mentally, and physically abusive to me. So that's
Yikes.
fine. But like I'm completely fine with that. And my brother and I have reconnected and we're fine.
Good. Yeah.
But yeah, I was that last holdout. I was the crazy person because the rest of the family, like my cousins and aunts and stuff, were never witnesses. And I was like the crazy cult member. But now my other aunt, who I was next door to, who helped in my waking up because of her QAnon conspiracies, she's the crazy cult member. I'm like,
How the tables
thanks.
have turned.
So, Slew, what about you? Do you have any family that, shuns you or anything because you left?
I have other issues with all of that. Whenever I started working through my mental health and stuff, there's like I've got a narcissistic mom. There's things that my dad was abusive growing up. He was physically abusive and stuff, but my mom kind of played into that with things, and it's just a mess as far as that goes. And things got to the point where, see, when I was younger, I can remember back, I mean, when I was really little, but we went to church. We all went to church together, but my mom stopped going after a certain amount of time because she felt that the people like that had more money were getting catered to more than others, and we didn't have any money. I mean, we grew up in a trailer. It was run down and stuff, and my dad was disabled, and yeah, it's yeah. I talk to my brother still, but my mom I ended up cutting off about 6 years ago now, I believe.
Yeah.
About
That's
the
rough.
same amount of
And
time.
the church I haven't talked to for like ever since I left. I mean, it was surprising that they never, for how much they evangelized and shit, that they wanted to spread the word and everything, that they never came to me to ask what was up.
And that's the same with the witness church too. You leave, they're never going to come and ask you, why are you leaving? Is there anything we can do to help you or anything? It's, oh, you don't believe it, you question it, we cut you off.
Yeah.
Like a bad habit.
Yeah.
I actually ended up,
comply or you're dead to us, basically.
Yeah.
I guess I ended up cutting them off basically at a certain point. It was like, this is harmful, and I had to step away and try to collect myself and everything.
Yeah.
Eric, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Just so around the time when you were leaving, because like now we kind of have like this massive resource of XJW, like places and forums and things where you can find ex-witnesses.
Yeah.
How was that for you in like 2009?
Yeah. So yeah, obviously the online atheist community was just kind of getting started at that point. The thing that really got me awake and going. So I woke up on my own. I realized I was an agnostic on my own. So in 2009, I moved to Montana. There was personal drama in my life, having to deal with family and witnesses in North Carolina. So I said, just one day, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get away from all this. I just want to just distance. That's all I need. So I moved to Montana. And when I was in Montana in 2009, for the first time in my life, I was not near family and I was not near anybody I knew. I did start immediately going to a congregation in Montana, but for the most part, I was a stranger. Nobody else there was very close to me. That constant social pressure of stay a witness, do the witness stuff was gone. And I was just a stranger in a strange land. Within a few months, I was an agnostic. And then when I realized I was an agnostic, I'm not sure what led me to it, but I remember finding the Atheist Experience on YouTube, and I watched an episode of the Atheist Experience, and it was Matt Dillahunty with, I think it was Russell Glassier or Def G or something. And I remember watching that very first episode of the Atheist Experience, and I remember my hands were shaking because I was doing something that was so taboo. I was doing exactly what I was told my entire life not to do, and that was to watch stuff critical of religion, especially the witnesses. And I remember like just trembling as I watched this episode, but it was exhilarating and it was eye-opening. And I realized that, hey, when Matt was talking about logic, or he was tearing a theist a new asshole for saying something stupid, I was like, this makes sense. So I kept on watching, and after another few months of watching, I realized I was an atheist. I realized that agnostic and atheist were not mutually exclusive. They were actually very complementary. I realized I was an agnostic atheist. And then I realized I was an atheist late 2009. And then from there, I did my own thing for a while. I immediately thought to myself, I need to go back to college. I need to get a degree. I need to build a career, because I was 27 at the time. I had no education. I was a tile setter. I was doing construction, which pays well, but it just destroys your body over time. So I was like, I don't want to do this for much of my life. Anyway, so that's what got the ball in motion. But to answer your original question, there was no Lloyd Evans back then. It was just the Atheist Experience and a few other small channels on YouTube. I bought The God Delusion from Richard Dawkins. I bought Demon Haunted World from Carl Sagan. And then from there, I just watched a lot of YouTube and read some books.
Wow.
And just started. I knew immediately that I needed to rebuild my moral system. I knew that I was dictated to it was dictated to me my entire life what was right and was wrong. So I was like, I need to figure this out for myself. So I did all that. I built my own moral system. I learned logic. I learned a little bit of philosophy. And I was content to do that on my own for about, 12 years. And then about 2 years ago, I started thinking to myself, yeah, maybe I should start becoming an activist. I think I went to college, I got a degree, I got a decent career. My life is stable. I'm turning 40. I'm like, I should probably start doing something to help somebody else out. So that's when I started my channel about 4 months ago.
Nice.
Nice.
But then that's kind of my story in a nutshell. And yeah, it was basically the Atheist Experience that got me out, because, Matt's awesome. Tracy Harris is awesome. All the old school folk are awesome.
And
Yeah.
that's funny, because I have a very similar experience of, going from being a Jehovah's Witness to being an atheist was the Atheist Experience. Because I started listening to,
Wow.
I had Lloyd Evans and all that at the time when I was coming out. But
Yeah.
when I started watching the Atheist Experience, and like you said, Matt Dillahunty ripping a theist a new asshole, he could be crude and mean, but yet at the same time, I listened to him. I was listening to what he was saying, not how he was saying it. And
Yeah, exactly.
And then I was listening to the Christian side of the arguments and what their arguments were for their stance. And I'm just like, their shit holds no water whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, and one of the biggest things I started researching from watching that show was logical fallacies. And then I started spotting logically fallacious arguments everywhere. I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of basic logic is all you really need. And then you can start really poking holes into things. Yeah.
If you guys had one person, like one atheist that you would say that you might look up to, which one would you? Like throughout history. It doesn't have to be necessarily the atheist experience or anything.
Yeah. So obviously Matt Dillahunty was the biggest influence on me in my deconversion. But if I had to pick somebody else other than him,
Sorry,
it would
excuse me for
be
1 second.
no worries. It would be Bertrand Russell.
Oh, okay.
He has a really famous quote. I'm forgetting it now because it's really late.
There's a few in the atheist Bible, I believe.
Yeah. Don't be concerned with what you wish. Don't be concerned with what you wish to believe, but concern yourself only with what are the facts. Because bias and emotion can really cloud your judgment. If you need something to be true, you will find a way to make it true. And that's not a real pathway to truth. If you can divorce yourself from the need, Pine Creek Doug says this basically, become a little more dead inside. Don't need to have something be true. Don't need to be comforted. Don't need everlasting life, or don't need to live forever in heaven. If you can remove yourself from that want and that human need, then you can view the facts much more objectively and come to much more objective conclusions. And you'll be fine with those objective conclusions. If I need to live forever and I come to the conclusion that I'm not going to live forever, I'm going to be very sad. If you can just get rid of that, come to your conclusions without the emotional interference, you'll be way better off. And I really appreciate that. Bertrand Russell basically started that. Matt Dillahunty put that into practice. And then, like I said, Pine Creek Doug is, I know he's problematic, but among some, but he's got some good points in that you should reduce that need, reduce that emotional dependence on what you need to be true, because it'll make the way forward a much more clear and on what the conclusion should be. So I kind of take that to heart, and it's been really effective for me. And I'm pretty satisfied with where I'm at right now. Obviously, I want to continue to refine my outlook and my positions and stuff like that, but I feel like I'm very comfortable with where I'm at right now.
If I were to pick one for me, it's actually Seth Andrews. I love
he's awesome.
I love how he talks. I had Josh Bowen on my channel one time, and I had him on after he had written his first book, the Atheist Guidebook to the Old Testament, or Handbook to the Old Testament. And of course, Seth Andrews was the reader of the audiobook version for that book. And I call him the atheist voice of God, because I just love his voice and I love how he speaks. But I also love how he's really been emphasizing this a lot lately when I've been listening to him, how he wants to have conversations with people and not arguments. And he's trying to steer the not chariot, but steer these interactions to a point where you're not yelling or getting into these arguments with people who are believers, but rather having a conversation with them on a level that you can both talk about and find some agreement and find the humanity in each other to continue these conversations. Because when you do that, it's harder for the theist to demonize you as an atheist when they see how good of a person you really are outside of their belief.
Seth Andrews is great because he went from being a Christian talk show host to having the largest atheist platform podcast on the planet. Like, he's gone from just one extreme to the other extreme. And he's great. And he's got that welcoming, approachable, almost fatherly like voice and demeanor about him, and he can just open you up and get you talking. He's definitely perfect for the job.
And I listen to his podcast. I listen to how he talks to people on the phone. I listen to him on all the other shows, and his speeches that he gives at these conventions and everything. It's just fantastic. I mean, I haven't found a better speaker yet. I don't know of one. And he's just wonderful to listen to. That's why I call him the atheist voice of God.
All right, let's let the woman speak. She's been silenced for too long.
Well, in saying that, for me, leaving the witnesses, a lot of the content is put out by straight up men, or people who were men in the organization.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, I realized, was actually kind of reminiscent of being a witness. I'm supposed to sit there and just listen to the men talk. And it was something that I'm not really interested in doing anymore. So a lot of what I do in terms of like being an straight up activist is I like to amplify and encourage other women or people who were women when they were in the organization, their voices. And aside from that, like I'm friends with apostasy.
Thanks, Stacey.
And and we're planning to do a TikTok live soon. So a lot of like the atheist content that I do consume is from her. I think also Eve was framed on TikTok as well.
Eve was framed, yeah.
So I tend to try and just listen to more short format and female presented information at this point, because I'm kind of sick of having to sit there and listen to men all the time. Not saying that that's what's happening now, but because this is a discussion and that's fine. But like, it's just
No, I get it.
I agree. It's lopsided. We need more female representation. Yeah. Have you listened to? Let me pull her up. Self-aware NPC.
Yes.
Have you heard of her?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I recently discovered her. Yeah.
She's in our Discord group. Kai. What is her YouTube? Pretty XJW girl or something. Her content is amazing. Amazing. I can't remember what her
XJW girl.
What is her YouTube channel? I know it.
XJW Supergirl.
No.
I just found XJW Supergirl, 600 subscribers.
Jesus Craves X on Twitter, and Kai is her name, but I'll try and find it later and I can send it.
Kai Natalia.
Ryan Cultastic is also another one.
Ryan's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was just on the Amish, the Misfit Amish the other day with Ryan.
Yes. Call it that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. More women XJWs would be great. Okay, cool.
Yay!
Nice.
There's like a group of us on Instagram mostly that sort of chat and stuff. Like there's Celeste, Apostate Baddie as well, who was a Bad Association before, but I think she changed her handle. And
that was the first scripture I ever learned was 1 Corinthians 15:33. Bad association. Do not be misled. Bad associations spoil useful habits. It's first scripture I was indoctrinated with. I remember.
Yeah.
We all were.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see. Obviously, I want to see the XJW community grow. It's been a bit of a drama around Lloyd Evans past couple years, and kind of seeing like a new restructuring. We have new upcoming XJWs kind of arising, like Aldworldly, XJW Caleb, and others like Fine Folk. Yeah, there's a bunch of new people coming up, so I think it's good, like diversifying and kind of growing. Like it's kind of like tree branches growing out. Like we're.
And that's what I think as well. Like everyone has their kind of like specialty or their niche, where they can do or put out their content, and the way they do it, the way they present it. Like we don't all have to be doing sit down like YouTube sermons. Like for me, my ADHD and my job and my time limits, TikTok's amazing. Like it's really easy to edit and just put something out there and like millions of people can see it. It's insane.
Yeah, whereas I need to look into TikTok. Yeah.
YouTube, I sit there and I'm like, no, I can't do this. I can't talk to myself for like an hour.
Yeah, I have a problem doing TikTok because like I'll get onto a subject and I'll just talk so much and I'll run out of time. I'm like, damn it.
That's
So
what's
you-
good though, because like
So-
you can edit it so that it's just the main points.
But that's why that personally is why I like YouTube better, because like I can, for me in my waking up process, it was listening to YouTube and long form videos, because it was something I just
Yeah.
put on, go to work, and just
Same.
work and listen to something. And
Right.
so I'm trying to give that back to others, some long form content, because most of what I do is interviews on my channel, which I love doing that because A, I get to meet awesome people. B, it's a hell of a lot easier to edit. And C, I don't have to dig through JW propaganda for hours researching crap and
Yeah.
going through all that stuff again, because I'm over that stuff. I don't need to.
Can
go
we
into
all
that
take a
stuff.
minute to appreciate Larchwood on Twitter? Because
Oh,
like
yes,
I
absolutely.
swear I could not. All of the stuff that he brings up and puts out there.
Well, I found out last night that Larchwood is my Twitter twin.
Oh, I saw that.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't do Twitter. I like.
I just joined Twitter when I started my channel in December. I got onto Twitter in December, and it really feels like I'm boarding the Titanic after it hit the iceberg.
I mean,
like-
it's not. It's not even that like the Musk thing was that big of a push for me, anyways, because I just
Yeah.
was never on there. It was the least used platform probably that I had,
Yeah.
and I just can't keep. There's so many things to keep track of, and it's like,
It's probably
just-
not the one I use the most, but I
Yeah.
do have like a comparable following on there to what I have on Instagram, where I mostly am, which is weird because I'm like, I barely use Twitter. I mostly just like pop in every couple of
Yeah.
days and blah, here's a new TikTok.
right.
Well, then you
Yeah,
got
I
all
need
these other.
I can't do
Chat servers,
TikTok either.
too.
I don't know what it is.
Like,
But
'cause-
I would say mine would be Madeline Murray O'Hare.
Old school. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be the person I look up to.
I'm just glad you didn't say Mother Teresa.
History. Oh no, but just the way that she, like, there would be no Matt Dillahunty without her. I don't see it. I don't see
Yeah.
any real good atheist movement happening without her. Like, she was a very good role model for that time, I think, to be able to come in and put men in their places, the pastors and stuff, the way that she did, and so in such a way that was like she didn't give a fuck. She gave no fucks about that man over there telling her that she was a whore, or that she was no, take your silly book and shove it up your ass. I don't care what it says, and that's mind-blowing for that time. That wasn't happening. That was things that was stirring up our church, getting them pissed at her.
You just reminded me of a great song, Slew. I've no more fucks to give. My fucks have runneth dry.
My wife listens to that guy. Yeah, my wife listens to that guy. Oh my god,
I love that song.
The juxtaposition of the old folksy banjos music with the profanity is
I
just
love
such a
it. That's
great-
what I love
it's
about
like
it.
it's such a weird combination. It makes it funny.
And then in the video, with the way he dresses in it and everything too.
Yeah. Like he's got that stash and the hat, and he's like,
Yeah.
I've
And, like,
no
in
more
the
fucks
vest
to give.
with the white shirt.
My fucks
I
are
don't
utterly
wanna
spent.
cry.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
over
man.
my fuck budget and I don't know fucking why.
No, it's like
Or something
I'm
like that.
I'm over my fuck budget and I've got no fucking rent or something like that. Like, oh yeah, it's beautiful.
Especially after coming out of the religion that knowing how women were treated and stuff in my church, I hate that. And Madeline Murray O'Hare really, worked towards those things as well. She was, So
Yeah, she was
that would
she was
be my
groundbreaking.
choice.
Yeah. She was she died in like the 90s, right?
Her
President American Atheist, and she
Yeah.
was murdered. Yeah. I remember
she
this.
was murdered.
Wow. She was 76. That's still a good life.
she was murdered. One of her sons and
Yeah, I remember
somebody
that
else,
now. Yeah,
her
Wow.
son's
yeah,
wife or something.
yeah. And didn't her successor, American Atheist, was what, David Silverman, and then he had his issues and he got
Hmm.
kind of outcast. Yeah. Yeah, I remember being familiar with this like 10 years ago when I was first becoming an atheist. Like, but then you kind of forget all that as you get kind of more caught up in the modern current state of things
Yeah.
instead of ancient history at this point.
I still get high every now and then and watch Madeline Murray O'Hare on YouTube.
I might have to try that because I don't think I've ever like listened to anything she said. Yeah, I should try
Which
that.
is a weird combination because she's such a fiery,
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
personality.
talking about getting high and watching YouTube is perfect for what this whole thing was supposed to be
Right.
about. But see, here's what I was thinking about this as we were talking. Because it was supposed to be about marijuana and all that, and we kind of totally didn't talk about that. I'm not worried about that. But like, if you think about it, though, if we were all high, we wouldn't be talking about what we should be talking about anyway. So I think it kind of fits in perfectly in a weird way.
Yeah.
Well, I'm high. Maybe that's the reason.
Like that one video I remember seeing on TikTok, the cop pulls the car over, it's full of smoke.
Right.
He goes, "How high are you?" And she looks at him and she goes, "Hi, how are you?"
It reminds me of that 70s show when the cop pulls over the
Yeah.
like, oh wow, that was close. For a moment I thought he was going to ask what was in the bag.
Yeah.
Is there a problem, Ossifer? Good stuff.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay. Well, hey, it's 1:15 in the morning here. I got to go. I mean, you guys are night owls at this point, right? I mean,
Well, I'm
East
fine.
Coast. Well, you're Australia. Yeah, you're fine.
I'm a night shift
Yeah.
worker.
New Zealand.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Well, see, I was kind of trying to hold off because like I'm the only one in the Eastern time zone right now, and
Yeah.
I'm in the
it's
Eastern
4:30.
time zone.
Oh, I thought you were Central. You're
Central,
Eastern?
maybe.
Eastern
Okay.
Standard Time. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Then I sit corrected. I was trying to hold off till 4:20. It's 4:13. At that point, I was going to say, okay, now we're good. We can go.
I can hang out with 420 is another 7 minutes. I can hang out if we have anything else to talk about. I mean, I'm waiting for Star Trek to download so I can watch it.
Oh man, see it.
Yeah.
We have.
Card.
I have the plan that has commercials, and I fucking hate it because
Yeah.
like it starts off like I'll turn it on, and the first thing I get is like a 90-second commercial before
Yeah,
any
it's
show.
terrible.
I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah.
So okay, I'm gonna go back in time a little bit. So I remember this was one of the things I remember our congregation as a kid. We used to have a 4:00 meeting because we had 3 congregations that would meet at
Yeah.
our hall. And I
Remember
remember
that.
when, especially in the late 80s, early 90s, we had like a little thing that we did. So we'd get out of the meeting at 6:00. We'd be home by about 6:30. We would order a pizza and we would catch like the last, 20 minutes of an original series Star Trek episode that was on TV. And then
Wow.
at 7:00, we would see new episodes of The Next Generation.
Wow. That's like late 80s, early 90s doing that.
Yeah. And I remember
Wow.
my dad at the time, we had a 25-inch RCA tube TV, and that's what we were watching it on.
Wow. My memories, kind of like my core memories like that. So my meetings we had book study Tuesday night. We had the ministry school Thursday night. And then my weekend meeting was Saturday evening at 5.
Wow.
So from 5 to 7, that was the public talk in Watchtower. So leaving the Kingdom Hall at 7 p.m. on a Saturday night, the night's young, I'm freshly dressed. I would go over to like Panda Express. I would go over to Best Buy. I was like super dressed up, like 18-year-old Eric, just super dressed up, going out and just all that. Like those were good kind of times. Like it was like I was like an animal released from its cage. Like 2-hour meeting. All of a sudden, boom, I'm free and I'm
Mhm.
fresh and well dressed, and I can go out into Las Vegas and kind of enjoy myself. Yeah, it was a kind of a good time back then.
Oh,
And
man.
I experienced when I left Vegas, like I lost all that. When I did go to a memorial at my dad's request before my dad deconverted. My dad asked me to go to the memorial, and I said, "Yeah, okay," because I knew it'd be less trouble to go to the memorial and deal with that than it is to deal with the fallout of saying no. So I remember going to the memorial when I was like 35, and I got out of the memorial, and I was like, "I'm in Las Vegas. I'm dressed up, and it's in the memorial. Like this is like my old memories." And I remember having a really nice night. I went over to Panda Express, went over to Best Buy. I did my old routine. It was really nice. Like it'd been like 15 years since I did something like that. It was nice, like a regression, like a revisit to back when I was a kid. That was great. That was the last memorial I went to. Everything ever since then, I haven't gone.
I'm gonna tell you something fun that happened when I was in Vegas. I remember we were walking down the strip one day. My parents were like 20, 30 feet in front of me, right? And there was this guy with like this stack of booklets,
Yeah.
They were probably about, like that thick, and as people were walking by, he was just handing them to people, kind of like shoving them in their hands, right?
Yeah.
And
Smut.
I'm a 17-year-old boy. Okay. I had no idea. I walk by, he just shoves one in my hand. And
Yeah.
as I walk by, and of course I grab it, I take a look at it. It's a freaking directory for all the hookers with phone numbers and color pictures and everything. And
That's Las Vegas.
And I'm like, and a lot of nude pictures too. And I'm
You tried to hold on to it.
I did hold on to it.
Hey, is that a memorial invitation?
It wasn't that.
No, that's a track.
That's a track.
Yeah, that's a track. Okay, those tracks are different now. I remember the much smaller ones.
Oh yeah.
This is Jehovah's Witness track.
Yeah.
What's the year on it? Like, what's the copyright date on it?
2013. Printed in
Okay,
Canada.
so even that's old now.
Yeah.
I remember
That's old,
tracks
like-
tracks were
The
much more
little-
stout. They were like a 3x5 card almost.
This got
Yeah.
handed out to me not that long ago.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah,
they
we
leave
were
it at
still
your
handing
door or
those out
something?
when I
Or
was in-
No, they sent it in the mail
oh
with a
wow.
letter. And these are tracks that I handed out.
Oh wow.
The
one in
Romans
Spanish.
Roadmap to Heaven. Okay.
Yeah, that was ours. It's HUC Publications. Bible correspondence courses available. Bible
It's always-
Open Air Mission. That was our deal. We went to New York City. They had us all go to, we went to New York City and evangelized like in the subways and stuff and the parks and stuff. They taught us magic tricks with ropes and to tell the gospel.
Wow.
And they used
Cool.
the Romans road. Yeah.
Very nice.
I'm actually so excited for my upcoming trip to the States. It's going to be my first trip and travel, not as a Jehovah's Witness, so I don't have to go field service. I don't have to preach to anyone. I don't have to appear spiritual. I don't have to go to Bethel. I don't have to do anything. In
Yeah.
fact, I can do the opposite of all of that and just do what I want and have fun.
So
Well,
if you're
Michelle-
in New Zealand, are you coming to the West Coast then?
I'm flying into California and I'm staying with a friend in
Okay.
San Diego for a couple weeks.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Hoping to get around and then fly out of New York to London. So
Wow, so you're globetrotting then. Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So-
Well, I grew up in Las Vegas, so I was in California quite a lot. I know some good places to eat down there if you're interested.
Nice.
Just
Yeah.
connect with me on Twitter, and I'll send you some places to eat and my
Cool.
recommendations.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I'm like up
Cool.
for all the advice and to meet anyone I can as well. So
I was gonna say,
Have
if you happen to pass through Virginia, you're on my Discord, so hit me up and come on by.
yeah, absolutely.
And everybody, I just want to stop right here real quick. It's 420, so happy 420 on 420. So,
Yay!
Know yourselves.
Great.
so before we get off and everything, everybody want to tell us where we
Are
can
we
find you at?
getting off? Okay, back onto the cereal.
So I guess I'll start.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, hi, I'm Eric. My channel is called Skeptics and Scoundrels. I'm not focused on XJW stuff, but I will be doing XJW stuff. I'm more of a counter apologist type channel. My most recent video that I posted was I was analyzing a 1986 Awake magazine article on a demon anecdote. It was like a 45-minute video. And then my previous video before that, I was analyzing a pastor's response to a question of mine on a super chat on God's channel. Anyway, I'm doing mostly counter apologetic stuff, but I will be doing XJW stuff. You can find me Skeptics and Scoundrels on YouTube. My Twitter is at Skept and Scound. So just look for Skeptics and Scoundrels. You'll find me on YouTube. So yeah, connect with me, and and I'll be on Skeptic Soapbox in I guess about a month from now. So I'll be around then.
Secular soapbox.
Secular soapbox. No, I'm sorry. It's 2 a.m. I got beer in me. Secular soapbox. Yes, I'll be enjoying talking to you guys on that. So yeah,
And
absolutely.
And if you don't mind, maybe I can reach out to you afterwards, and I can set up and have you come on my channel and give your full story
Sure.
over here.
Absolutely. Love to talk. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that'd
Thanks.
be great. Michelle,
Yeah.
what about you?
Hi, Michelle. I go by @thatxjwwitch on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And yeah, I just talk about all the random shit we went through and stuff. Yeah.
Very good. And that's actually how I found you, is on TikTok.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I started following you on there. That's how I
Oh.
first knew of you.
Nice.
So, and I'll say the same to you as I said to Eric. Have to have you on sometime and get your story, as well as Slew and everything.
Yeah.
So, love to have all you guys on, and just get your individual stories.
I'm
Yeah.
down.
And what about you, Slew?
I've got a podcast. I've been off of it for a couple years. I had some health issues and things, and but I'm starting to get things straightened back out again. I'm wanting to get things going again. Got a new host, The Skeptical Satanist. It's on YouTube. I'm wanting to try to branch out a little bit, but I'm not putting too much pressure on myself at this point. I'm doing some shorts and stuff, and playing with the platform at this point. But it's mostly I'm focusing on politics and religion and mental health and all of that. So
Nice.
Cool.
and I've had people like I've had Fee on, and Aaron Ferguson. I don't know if you ever heard of him or not, but he was on he was on Secular Sexuality years ago. He was part of the Children of God cult. I interviewed him.
Oh wow!
And it was very interesting because he was running the same circles as what like our church would have been, like Joel Osteen. He remembers before they were a mega church or whatever. They were staying in their parking lot. Like their family was doing the family band thing for Jesus or whatever. You know what I mean? They go traveling around and perform. So, but that was very interesting. I've had a few things like that, but I'm wanting to get it going again. And I've got video now. I didn't have video before, so.
Awesome. Well then, I welcome all our latecomers here, Dr. Josh and
Wow, Dr.
Judge
Hammurabi.
Flynn. So, welcome. I know we're wrapping things up here. Appreciate you stopping by, anyways. And anybody else have any last things they want to say before we get off here?
No, I had a good time. Very fortunate that I stumbled across your stream so late and joined. I had a really good time. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all coming on those last second, and all that. It was a great time and great conversation. I look forward to talking with y'all more in the future.
Yay.
Same.
Thanks
Awesome.
for having
It's
me.
really good.
All right.
Thanks.
Y'all take care now.
Bye.
Bye.
folks.